Hey, you made it. I'm so happy you're here. Are you all cozy under your blanket? Maybe you've got one leg sticking out because you like to live a little wild. That's awesome. Welcome to our sleepy story time. Before we start, I want to know something fun. Where are you listening from? Is it your bedroom, your living room, or maybe somewhere super cool like a treehouse? And what time is it where you are? Is it late at night, or are you sneaking this in during the day? I love hearing your answers. It's like getting a little note from a friend when I'm up super late, feeling like a sleepy raccoon with big, tired eyes. Tonight, we're going to talk about something really calm and quiet. It's called Boring History for Sleep, 7 Cursed Beliefs That Terrified Medieval Peasants and More. Don't worry if that sounds fancy or scary. It's just a soft, slow story about people who lived a long, long time ago. They had some funny and spooky ideas that made them nervous, but we're going to make it all feel cozy and safe, like a warm hug before bed. Let's get comfy and dive into this gentle tale. Imagine you're sitting by a crackling fire with a soft blanket around you. The world outside is quiet, and all you can hear is the wind whispering through the trees. That's the kind of mood we're going for, nice and peaceful, perfect for drifting off to sleep. A long time ago, way back in the medieval times, people lived in small villages. These were tiny places with little houses made of mud and straw. They didn't have electricity or cars or even phones. Their lives were super simple, but they had big imaginations. They believed in all kinds of things that might sound silly to us now, like curses and ghosts and magical creatures hiding in the woods. Those beliefs could make them scared, but they still found ways to feel safe and sleep at night. That's what our story is about: how they lived, how they got sleepy, and how they rested under the stars. When I say cursed beliefs, I mean ideas that made them worry. For example, some people thought if you spilled salt, bad luck would follow you. Or if you heard a strange noise at night, it might be a witch trying to sneak into your house. These thoughts could make their hearts beat fast, but they had tricks to calm down, like saying a little prayer or keeping a special charm by their bed. We're going to explore 7 of those spooky beliefs, plus a few extra stories, all in a way that feels soft and soothing, like a lullaby. Why are we talking about this? Because it's fun to imagine how different life was back then. It's like peeking into a fairy tale, but it's real history. And the best part, it's boring enough to help you relax and maybe even fall asleep. So if your eyes start feeling heavy, that's okay. Just let yourself sink into the story, like floating on a fluffy cloud. Let's picture those medieval peasants for a moment. They wore simple clothes like tunics and cloaks, and their shoes were made of leather or sometimes just rags. They worked hard all day, growing food, taking care of animals, and building things. By nighttime, they were so tired they could hardly keep their eyes open. Their houses were small, with dirt floors and straw roofs. Inside, they had a fire to keep warm, and everyone slept close together: moms, dads, kids, and sometimes even a goat or a pig. It was crowded, but it made them feel safe, like being wrapped in a big family hug. Now let's talk about those cursed beliefs. I'll keep it super simple so it's easy to follow. One belief was about witches. Some peasants thought witches could fly through the air at night and cause trouble, like making cows stop giving milk or making people sick. To protect themselves, they might hang a horseshoe over their door or sprinkle salt around their house. It was their way of saying, "No witches allowed." Does that sound a little funny? It's okay to smile. These stories are old and strange, but they're part of our sleepy adventure. Another belief was about fairies. Not the sparkly, happy fairies in cartoons, but tricky ones. Peasants thought fairies might steal bobbies or play mean pranks, like hiding your tools. To keep fairies away, they'd leave out a bowl of milk or bread as a gift. It's like leaving cookies for Santa, but for fairies instead. Imagine a tired peasant setting out a tiny bowl of milk, yawning, and hoping the fairies would be nice that night. There was also a belief about curses. If someone was mad at you, they might try to put a curse on you, like saying magic words to make your crops die or your chickens stop laying eggs. People were so scared of this that they'd wear special charms, like a necklace with a stone or a cross, to keep bad magic away. It's like wearing a superhero cape, but for protection from curses. Another spooky idea was about ghosts. Peasants believed that spirits of dead people might wander around at night. If you heard a creak or a howl, you might think it was a ghost. To stay safe, they'd say prayers before bed or keep a candle burning. It was their way of telling the ghosts, "Please don't bother us tonight." They also worried about bad dreams. Some thought bad dreams were messages from evil spirits. To stop them, they'd sleep with a special herb like lavender under their pillow. It's like having a magic flower to chase away nightmares. Plus, it probably smelled nice, which is great for falling asleep. Another belief was about the moon. They thought a full moon could make people act weird or even turn them into wolves. That's where werewolf stories come from. On full moon nights, they'd lock their doors tight and stay inside just in case. Imagine peeking out your window, seeing the bright moon, and wondering if something strange was out there. Finally, they were scared of breaking certain rules. For example, if you walked under a ladder or broke a mirror, they thought bad luck would follow you for years. To fix it, they might do something silly, like throw salt over their shoulder or knock on wood. It's like a little game to keep the bad luck away. These beliefs sound wild now, but back then they were super serious. The peasants didn't have science books or Google to check if something was true. They just had stories passed down from their grandparents, and those stories felt real. But even with all these spooky thoughts, they still managed to sleep every night. That's what our story will show you. They worked hard, ate warm food, and snuggled up in their cozy beds, letting the darkness wrap them up like a blanket. Let's think about why this is a good story for falling asleep. It's slow and gentle with no loud surprises. It's about people who lived a long time ago, so it feels far away and safe. And it's a little boring in the best way, like a soft hum that helps your brain relax. If you're feeling sleepy already, that's perfect. Just listen to my voice and let your mind wander. Imagine you're one of those peasants for a second. You spent all day working in the fields, your hands dirty from digging in the soil. Your legs are tired and your eyes are heavy. You come home to your little house where a fire is burning. Your family is there and maybe a goat is chewing on something in the corner. You eat a bowl of warm soup and it makes your tummy feel full and happy. Then you crawl into bed, the straw crunching under you. The blanket is scratchy but warm. You hear the wind outside and it's like a song. You close your eyes and sleep comes soft and easy. That's the feeling we're going for tonight. No stress, no worries, just a calm story about people who lived simply and slept deeply. Even with their cursed beliefs, they found peace at night. And you can too. Whether you're in a big city or a small town, whether it's midnight or just after dinner, this story is here to help you relax. Let's take a moment to breathe. Inhale slowly like you're smelling a warm loaf of bread. Then exhale like you're blowing out a tiny candle. Feel your shoulders get loose. Feel your legs get heavy. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're ready for a gentle journey into history. I'm so glad you're here with me. It's like we're sitting together by a fire, sharing a quiet moment. I bet you're somewhere comfy right now, maybe with a pillow that's just the right amount of squishy. If you want, you can imagine you're in a medieval village too. Picture the little houses, the smoky air, the stars twinkling above. It's a world where time moves slowly and sleep is never far away. As we go through this story, I'll keep my voice soft and steady, like a parent reading a bedtime story. If you start to drift off, that's okay. You don't have to stay awake for the whole thing. The story will be here, waiting for you, like a friend who never gets mad if you fall asleep. Let's talk a little more about those peasants. They didn't have a lot of stuff, but they had each other. They worked together, laughed together, and slept together in their tiny homes. They believed in curses and fairies, but they also believed in kindness and hope. Even when they were scared, they found ways to feel better, like singing a song or telling a story. That's what made their lives special, even if they were simple. I wonder what it would be like to live like that. No phones buzzing, no homework to finish, just the sun and the stars telling you what to do. You'd wake up when the rooster crowed, work all day, and then sleep when the sky got dark. It sounds hard, but it also sounds peaceful, like life had a rhythm, like a heartbeat. Now let's think about you. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, you're part of this story too. You're curled up listening, and that makes you special. Maybe you're in a big bed with lots of pillows, or maybe you're on a couch with a blanket you love. Maybe you've got a pet nearby, snoring or purring. All of that is perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. As we get ready to dive deeper into the story, I want you to feel super relaxed. If your mind is busy, that's okay. Just let it wander like a butterfly floating from flower to flower. You don't have to think hard or focus. Just listen to the words and let them carry you along like a boat on a quiet river. We're going to meet a peasant soon, someone with a funny name and a sleepy smile. We'll follow her day from morning to night and see how she deals with those cursed beliefs. We'll hear about her chores, her bed, her food, and all the little things that made her life cozy, even when she was scared. It's going to be a long, slow story, perfect for relaxing. Before we go on, let's do one more breathing trick. Breathe in, slow and deep, like you're filling your lungs with cool night air. Then breathe out, long and soft, like you're sighing after a big yawn. Feel your body get heavier, like it's sinking into the bed. You're ready for this story, ready to float into a world of straw beds and starry skis. I'm so excited to share this with you. It's like we're on a little adventure together, but a calm one where the only goal is to feel good and maybe fall asleep. If you're still awake, that's great. If you're starting to doze, that's great too. This story is for you no matter what. Let's keep going nice and slow. Picture that medieval village again. The houses are small, with smoke curling from their chimneys. The fields are green and the air smells like grass and bread. Somewhere a cow moos and a dog barks. It's a world where everything moves at its own pace and nighttime is for resting. Those cursed beliefs we talked about, they were part of life like the weather. People didn't always talk about them, but they were there like a shadow in the corner. A spilled cup of water might mean bad luck. A strange dream might mean a spirit was near. But the peasants didn't let those fears stop them. They kept going, working, eating, sleeping, and dreaming. I bet you're feeling pretty relaxed now. Maybe your eyes are closing, or maybe you're still listening, curious about what comes next. Either way, you're doing great. This story is like a soft blanket wrapping you up and keeping you warm. Let's imagine one more thing before we move on. Picture a starry sky, big and wide, with no city lights to hide the stars. Each star is like a tiny light watching over the village. The peasants looked at that sky and felt safe, even with their spooky beliefs. They knew the night was kind and sleep was waiting. You're part of that night now, cozy and calm. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, you're connected to this story. You're like a peasant, ready to rest after a long day. Your bed is your hut, your blanket is your cloak, and my voice is the wind, singing you to sleep. I'm going to keep talking slow and steady, filling your mind with gentle pictures. We'll meet our peasant friend soon, and we'll follow her through her day. We'll see how she lives, how she laughs, and how she sleeps, even with those cursed beliefs in her mind. It's going to be a long, soothing story, perfect for drifting off. For now, just rest. Let your body sink deeper into your bed. Let your thoughts float away like leaves on a stream. You're safe, you're warm, and you're ready for a peaceful journey into history. Thank you for being here, my friend. Let's keep going nice and easy into the world of medieval peasants and their sleepy, cozy lives. Imagine a world where there are no electric lights, no bright bulbs, no glowing screens, just fire. A soft, warm fire that flickers in the dark. This is the medieval countryside, a place where everything feels old and quiet. The air smells like wet dirt and smoky wood. It's like walking through a forest after rain with a campfire nearby. This is where peasants lived a long, long time ago. Their lives were so different from ours, and I'm going to tell you all about it in a super simple way, like a cozy bedtime story. So get comfy and let's step into their world. Peasants were people who worked hard every day. They lived in tiny villages, not big cities. A village was like a little group of houses, maybe 10 or 20 all bunched together. The houses were small, made of mud and sticks, with roofs made of straw. They looked like houses a kid might draw, with crooked walls and smoky chimneys. Around the village were fields where they grew food like wheat and barley, and pastures where their animals, like cows and sheep, ate grass. There were no cars, no buses, no planes. If you wanted to go somewhere, you walked, or maybe, if you were lucky, you rode a horse or a donkey. Their days started when the sun came up. No alarm clocks, just the light in the sky saying, time to wake up. They worked all day, doing things like planting seeds, milking cows, or making bread. When the sun went down, it was time to rest. No staying up late with a phone or TV. The dark meant bedtime, and everyone listened. It was like the world had a big, quiet rule: sun up, work, sun down, sleep. Now these peasants believed in some spooky things. They thought the world was full of spirits, like invisible helpers or troublemakers. Some spirits were nice, like ones that might help your crops grow, but others were scary, like ones that could make you sick or steal your stuff. They had all kinds of ideas that might sound funny to us now, but to them they were super serious. These ideas were called cursed beliefs because they made people worried or scared. Let me tell you about a few so you can understand their world. One big belief was about witches. They thought witches were sneaky people who could do bad magic. They believed a witch might come at night and steal your breath while you slept so you'd wake up feeling weak. Or they might put a spell on your animals so your cow stopped giving milk. To keep witches away, peasants would hang up special things like a horseshoe over their door. It was like a sign that said, no witches allowed. They'd also say prayers or keep a little charm, like a stone with a hole in it, to stay safe. Another belief was about fairies. Not the cute fairies in stories with sparkly wings, but tricky ones. Peasants thought fairies lived in the woods or fields and could play pranks. They might take your baby and leave a fairy baby instead, called a changeling. Or they might hide your tools or make your bread burn. To make fairies happy, people would leave out gifts, like a bowl of milk or a piece of bread. It was like leaving a snack for a picky guest, hoping they'd be nice. They also believed in curses. A curse was like bad luck someone wished on you. If you made someone mad, they might say magic words to make your crops fail or your chickens stop laying eggs. To protect themselves, peasants wore charms, like a necklace with a cross or a special bead. It was like wearing a shield against bad magic. They'd also do little things, like throw salt over their shoulder to keep curses away. Ghosts were another worry. They thought spirits of dead people might wander around at night. If you heard a strange noise like a creak or a howl, you might think it was a ghost looking for you. To keep ghosts away, they'd light a candle or say a prayer before bed. It was like telling the ghosts, go somewhere else tonight. They were also scared of bad dreams. They thought a bad dream might be a message from an evil spirit. To stop bad dreams, they'd put herbs like lavender or rosemary under their pillow. It was like having a magic flower to keep nightmares away. Plus, those herbs smelled nice, which made their beds feel cozy. Another spooky idea was about the moon. They believed a full moon could make people act strange, like getting angry or confused. Some even thought it could turn people into wolves, yep, werewolves. On full moon nights, they'd lock their doors and stay inside just to be safe. Imagine looking at the bright moon and wondering if something weird was out there. Finally, they had rules about luck. They thought doing certain things, like spilling salt or breaking a mirror, could bring bad luck. If you did something unlucky, you had to fix it, like throwing salt over your shoulder or knocking on wood. It was like a little game to keep the bad luck away. These beliefs were a big part of their lives. They didn't have books or computers to check if something was true. They just had stories from their parents and grandparents, and those stories felt real. It's like when you hear a creepy story at a sleepover and start to wonder if it's true. For peasants, these stories were their truth, and they shaped how they lived. But even with all these spooky ideas, life went on. They still worked, ate, laughed, and slept. They didn't let their fears stop them. They had ways to feel safe, like their charms and prayers, and those helped them relax. At the end of the day, they were tired, and sleep was like a warm, soft place to hide from all the worries. It was their time to rest, to forget about witches and fairies, and just be still. Let's picture their village a little more. Close your eyes and imagine a quiet place. There are small houses with straw roofs, all closed together. Smoke curls up from chimneys, making the air smell like a campfire. Around the houses are fields, green and wide, with cows munching grass and chickens pecking at the dirt. There's a little path winding through the village, made of mud and stones. If it rains, it gets all squishy, and your shoes stick in the muck. In the distance, there's a forest, dark and full of secrets, where fairies might hide. Above it all is the sky, big and open, with stars at night that shine like tiny lanterns. The people in the village knew each other. If you needed help, your neighbor was there. If you had extra bread, you shared it. They worked together like a big team. They'd sing songs while they worked or tell stories to make the day go faster. Even with their cursed beliefs, they found ways to smile. Maybe they'd laugh about a cow that ran away or a kid who fell in the mud. Life was hard, but it was also full of little happy moments. Their houses were simple inside. No fancy furniture, just a table, some stools, and a fire pit in the middle. The fire was super important. It kept them warm, cooked their food, and gave them light. They'd sit around it at night talking or fixing tools. The floor was just dirt, packed down hard. Sometimes they'd spread straw on it to make it softer. There were no bathrooms or running water. If you needed water, you walked to a well or a stream and carried it back in a bucket. It was a lot of work, but they were used to it. They didn't have closets full of clothes. Most peasants had one or two outfits made of rough cloth like wool or linen. Their shoes were simple too, just leather tied around their feet. If they got wet, they took a long time to dry. Kids ran around barefoot sometimes, splashing in puddles and getting muddy. Everyone looked a little scruffy, but that was okay. They didn't care about fashion like we do. They just wanted to stay warm and keep working. Food was simple too. They ate a lot of bread made from wheat or barley. They also had soup called pottage made with vegetables like onions, carrots, or peas. Sometimes they added a bit of meat like pork or chicken, but not every day. They drank water, milk, or a weak beer called ale. No soda or juice, and definitely no candy. If they wanted something sweet, they might eat honey or fruit like apples or berries. Meals were a big deal though. They'd sit together, share their food, and talk about their day. It was like a daily party, even if the food wasn't fancy. Their animals were like family. They had cows for milk, sheep for wool, chickens for eggs, and pigs for meat. They also had goats, which were great because they'd eat almost anything. Animals lived close to the house, sometimes even inside at night to keep them safe from wolves or thieves. Imagine sleeping next to a goat. It might be smelly, but it was warm, and that mattered when the nights were cold. The weather was a big part of their lives. If it rained too much, their crops might rot. If it was too dry, nothing would grow. They watched the sky all the time, trying to guess what would happen. They also believed the weather could be magic. A big storm might mean a witch was angry, or a sunny day might mean a spirit was happy. They had no weather apps, so they made up stories to explain things. Time was different too. They didn't have clocks or watches. They told time by the sun and the seasons. In summer, days were long and they worked a lot. In winter, days were short and they stayed inside more, fixing things or telling stories by the fire. The church bells helped too. They'd ring to say it was time to pray or time to eat. It was like the village had a big, loud alarm clock for everyone. Religion was super important. Most peasants were Christian and they went to church in the village. The church was like the heart of the community. They prayed for good crops, healthy kids, and protection from curses. They believed God was watching them, and so were the spirits. They'd say prayers all the time, not just at church. Before eating, before sleeping, even before starting work. It made them feel safe, like someone big was looking out for them. Now let's talk more about those cursed beliefs, because they were a big deal. They didn't just believe in witches and fairies. They also thought everyday things could be dangerous. For example, if you spilled salt, it was bad luck because salt was expensive. To fix it, you'd throw a pinch of salt over your shoulder to scare away the bad luck. It was like a quick magic trick to make things okay again. They also believed in signs. If a black cat crossed your path, it might mean trouble. If an owl hooted during the day, it could be a warning. They watched for these signs all the time, like detectives looking for clues. If something bad happened, like a cow getting sick, they'd try to figure out what sign they missed. It was their way of making sense of the world. They thought the forest was full of magic. If you went too deep, you might meet a spirit or get lost forever. Kids were told to stay close to the village or a fairy might trick them. But the forest was also where they got wood and herbs, so they had to be brave. They'd go in groups, singing or talking loudly to scare away anything spooky. They also believed in dreams. A good dream, like flying or seeing a bright light, might mean something wonderful was coming. A bad dream, like falling or being chased, could mean danger. They tell their dreams to each other, trying to figure out what they meant. Sometimes they'd ask a wise person in the village, like an old grandma, to explain it. Dreams were like secret messages from another world. Even animals could be part of their beliefs. If a dog howled at night, it might mean a ghost was near. If a rooster crowed at the wrong time, it could be a sign of trouble. They loved their animals, but they also watched them closely, thinking they knew things people didn't. These beliefs made life exciting but also scary. Imagine going to bed wondering if a witch was outside or if a fairy was hiding in the shadows. But the peasants were tough. They didn't let fear ruin their days. They worked, they sang, they ate, and they slept. Sleep was their escape, a time when the world went quiet and all the spooky stuff faded away. Their beds were not like ours, no soft mattresses or fluffy pillows. They slept on straw stuffed into a sack or piled on a wooden frame. It was lumpy and scratchy, but they didn't mind. They'd cover it with a wool blanket, which was warm but rough. Some people slept on the floor close to the fire. Others had a bed shared with the whole family, like a big sleepover every night. It was crowded, but it felt safe to be together. At night, the village was dark and still. No street lights, just the moon and stars. The only sounds were the wind, the creak of trees, or maybe an animal moving around. It was like the world was asleep too. The peasants would close their eyes and the darkness would wrap them up like a big, cozy blanket. Even with their cursed beliefs, they found peace in sleep. Life back then was hard, but it was simple. They didn't worry about emails or homework or traffic. Their worries were about food, weather, and staying safe from spirits. But they had each other, and that made everything better. They shared their work, their food, and their stories. They laughed at silly things like a pig running through the village or a kid dropping a bucket of water. They cried when things were sad, like when someone got sick. But through it all, they kept going day after day, night after night. As we think about their world, let's imagine being there. Picture yourself in a little house with a fire glowing. You're tired from working in the fields and your hands are dirty. You eat a bowl of warm soup and it makes your tummy feel full. You crawl into bed, the straw crunching under you. Your family is close, maybe even a goat snoring nearby. You hear the wind outside, soft and steady. You close your eyes and the world fades away. No witches, no fairies, just sleep, warm and quiet. That's what life was like for them. It was different, but it was theirs. They lived with their cursed beliefs, but they didn't let them win. They found ways to be happy, to be safe, and to rest. And now as we tell their story, we can rest too. This is just the start and there's more to come. We'll meet a peasant soon, someone with a funny name and a big heart. We'll follow her day, see her world, and learn how she slept, even with all those spooky thoughts. For now, let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling a warm fire. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sinking into a pile of straw. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. Let's keep going, slow and easy, into the world of medieval peasants, where life was different, but sleep was always waiting. Hey there, get ready for a cozy, sleepy story about someone special. We're going to meet Beatrice, a peasant woman who lived a long, long time ago in a tiny village. This story is super easy to understand, like something you'd read in a fun book at school. It's going to be long and gentle, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's dive into Beatrice's world. Beatrice is a woman with a big heart and a crooked smile that makes everyone feel happy. Her smile is a little wobbly, like she's always about to laugh. Her hands are rough and scratchy because she works hard every day. They're strong hands, good for carrying buckets or petting animals. She's the kind of person who talks to her chickens like they're her friends, humming little songs to make them cluck. Sometimes when she's really tired, she trips over her own feet and giggles, brushing dirt off her skirt. Beatrice is lovable, like a favorite aunt who always has a story to tell. She lives in a small house called a wattle and daub hut. That's a funny name, right? It means the walls are made of sticks woven together like a basket and covered with mud to keep the wind out. The roof is made of straw tied in big bundles to stay dry. Her house is tiny with just one room for everything, cooking, eating, and sleeping. It's not fancy, but it's home and Beatrice loves it. Inside, there's a dirt floor, a fire pit for warmth, and a few wooden stools. It smells like smoke and bread, cozy and familiar. Beatrice shares her hut with her family. There's her husband, Tom, who has a big beard and a loud laugh. He's strong from working in the fields and always smells a bit like hay. Then there are her two kids, Leela and Ben. Leela is 7, with messy hair and a giggle that sounds like bells. Ben is 5, always running around with muddy knees and asking questions like, why do goats eat socks? And then there's Pudding, their goat. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to chew on everything, shoes, ropes, even Beatrice's apron. Pudding sleeps by the door at night, huffing and snuffling in her dreams. The whole family is close, like a team that sticks together no matter what. Beatrice believes in old stories, the kind her grandma told her when she was little. These stories are full of spooky things like curses, ghosts, and fairies. She thinks they're real and they make her careful. For example, she believes a witch might sneak into the house at night and cause trouble, like making the fire go out. Or a fairy might play a prank, like hiding her broom. She also thinks ghosts wander around when it's dark, creaking the floorboards. These ideas scare her sometimes, but she has tricks to feel safe, like saying a prayer or keeping a special stone by her bed. Even with these spooky thoughts, she's happy, always humming or smiling. At night, Beatrice is so sleepy she could fall asleep anywhere. She says she could nap on a fence post, like a bird, and you can almost picture her dozing off, swaying in the breeze. Her days are long and full of work, so by bedtime her eyes are heavy and her body feels like it's made of soft clay. She loves sleep because it's like a warm hug that makes everything quiet and peaceful. Let's follow Beatrice's day to see what her life is like. It's a simple day, but it's full of little moments that make her special. We'll go slow, like a turtle walking through grass, so you can imagine every part and feel cozy. Beatrice wakes up when the sun starts to peek over the hills. There's no alarm clock, just the light coming through a crack in the shutters. She hears the rooster crow loud and proud, like he's shouting, "Good morning, everyone." She yawns, stretches her arms, and rubs her eyes. Her bed is a pile of straw covered with a rough wool blanket. It's not soft like a modern bed, but it's warm, and she likes the way it smells like grass. She sits up, her feet touching the cold dirt floor, and shivers a little. The air is chilly, but the fire from last night left some warm ashes, so the hut isn't too cold. She looks around and sees her family still sleeping. Tom is snoring, his beard puffing out with each breath. Leela and Ben are curled up together, sharing a blanket, their faces peaceful. Putting the goat is by the door, her head resting on a pile of straw, making little grumbling noises. Beatrice smiles, feeling lucky to have them all. She whispers a quick prayer to keep bad spirits away, just in case a curse is lurking. It's a habit, like brushing your teeth, and it makes her feel safe. She gets up quietly, trying not to wake anyone. Her dress is simple, made of brown linen, and it's a bit worn at the hem. She ties an apron around her waist, ready for the day. First, she goes to the fire pit and pokes the ashes to find a few glowing coals. She adds some sticks, blowing gently until a small flame pops up. The fire crackles and the hut starts to feel warmer. She loves this moment, when the day is just beginning and everything is quiet. Next, she steps outside to check on the chickens. The air is fresh, smelling like dew and grass. The village is waking up too. She hears a dog barking and a neighbor calling to her cow. The sky is turning pink and gold like a painting. Beatrice's chickens are in a little pen behind the hut, clucking and scratching the dirt. She hums a tune, something soft and bouncy, and the chickens tilt their heads like they're listening. "Good morning, my ladies," she says, tossing them some grain. She checks for eggs, finding 2 warm ones in the straw. She tucks them in her apron pocket, careful not to break them. Back inside, Tom is awake, stretching and yawning. "Morning, Bee," he says, his voice gruff but kind. The kids are stirring too, rubbing their eyes and complaining about the cold. Beatrice laughs and tells them to get up or Pudding will eat their breakfast. Leela giggles and Ben pretends to chase the goat, who just blinks at him. It's a noisy, happy start to the day. Breakfast is simple, bread from yesterday and some milk from Pudding. Beatrice warms the milk over the fire and everyone sits on the floor sharing a big loaf. The bread is hard, but they dip it in the milk to make it soft. Ben drops crumbs everywhere and Leela scolds him, but Beatrice just smiles. She loves these moments when her family is together, even if they're a bit messy. After breakfast, it's time for work. Beatrice has a lot to do and she moves through her chores like a dance she knows by heart. First, she milks Pudding. The goat is fussy, flicking her tail and trying to eat Beatrice's hair. "Oh, Pudding, behave," Beatrice says, laughing. She squeezes the milk into a wooden bucket, the sound like a soft drum. The milk is warm and smells sweet, and she's proud of how much Pudding gives. Then she heads to the well to get water. The well is in the middle of the village, a big stone circle with a rope and bucket. She walks along the muddy path, waving to neighbors. Some are already working, carrying tools or herding animals. One woman, old Meg, stops to chat. "Heard a strange noise last night," Meg says, her eyes wide. "Might be a witch." Beatrice nods, feeling a little nervous, but she doesn't want to seem scared. "I'll say an extra prayer tonight," she says, and Meg nods back. These little talks are part of village life, sharing stories and worries. At the well, Beatrice lowers the bucket and pulls it up, her arms strong from years of this work. The water is cold and clear, splashing a little on her apron. She carries it back home, careful not to spill. The bucket is heavy, but she's used to it. She hums her chicken song again, and it makes the walk feel lighter. Back at the hut, she uses the water to start cooking. She's making pottage, a thick soup with barley, onions, and some herbs from her garden. She chops the onions with a small knife, her eyes watering, and tosses everything into a pot over the fire. The smell starts to fill the hut, warm and earthy. Leela helps by stirring, standing on a stool to reach the pot. "Don't let it burn," Beatrice says, and Leela nods, looking serious. While the pottage cooks, Beatrice sweeps the floor with a broom made of twigs. The dirt floor gets dusty, and she likes to keep it tidy. Ben is outside, playing with a stick, pretending it's a sword. Tom is in the fields, plowing with their old horse Bess. Everyone has a job, and Beatrice feels proud of her family. She checks the fire, adding another log, and sits for a moment to rest. Her hands are busy all day, but her heart is full. By midday, the sun is high and the village is buzzing. Kids run around, chasing each other. Dogs bark and chickens flap their wings. Beatrice takes a break to eat with her family. They sit outside on a bench by the hut, sharing the pottage. It's hot and filling, and they dip bread in it. Pudding tries to steal a crust, and Ben laughs so hard he almost falls off the bench. Beatrice loves these moments when everyone is happy and the world feels good. After lunch, it's back to work. Beatrice goes to her garden, a small patch of dirt behind the hut. She grows herbs like mint and thyme and vegetables like carrots and cabbages. She pulls weeds, her hands getting dirty, and checks for bugs. The garden is her favorite place, quiet and green. She talks to the plants, saying, "Grow big and strong, okay?" It's silly, but it makes her feel like she's helping. She also checks the fence around the garden, fixing any gaps where rabbits might sneak in. Pudding follows her, nibbling grass and bleating. "You're no help," Beatrice says, scratching the goat's head. Pudding just blinks and Beatrice laughs. She loves her animals, even when they're naughty. As the afternoon goes on, Beatrice starts to feel tired. Her back aches from bending over and her feet are sore from walking on the hard ground. She wipes sweat off her forehead and looks at the sky. The sun is lower now and the air is cooler. She knows evening is coming and that means rest is near. Her body is heavy, but it's a good kind of heavy, like she's earned her sleep. She heads back to the hut to start supper. Tonight it's more pottage, but she adds some dried peas to make it special. She stirs the pot, the fire crackling, and thinks about her day. She's done a lot: milked the goat, fetched water, cooked, gardened. She's also listened to old Meg's witch story, which made her a little nervous. She decides to put a sprig of rosemary under her pillow tonight, just in case. Rosemary is supposed to keep bad dreams away, and she likes how it smells. Tom comes back from the fields, dusty and tired. He gives Beatrice a quick hug and she smiles, feeling warm inside. The kids are playing nearby, throwing sticks for a neighbor's dog. Beatrice calls them in and they all sit around the fire eating supper. The pottage is warm and the hut feels cozy. They talk about their day, Tom's horse being stubborn, Leela finding a shiny stone, Ben pretending he fought a dragon. Beatrice listens, her heart full. After supper, the family cleans up. Beatrice washes the pot with water from the well and Tom stacks firewood. The kids put away their bowls, arguing over who gets to pet Pudding first. Beatrice laughs, telling them to share. The hut is getting darker now as the sun sets. She lights candles, small flickers of light that make shadows dance on the walls. Before bed, Beatrice does a few last things. She checks the door to make sure it's latched, keeping out animals or sneaky spirits. She sprinkles a little salt by the threshold, an old trick to ward off curses. She says a prayer with her family, asking for a safe night. Her voice is soft and the kids yawn, their eyes droopy. Finally, it's time for bed. Beatrice banks the fire, covering the coals with ashes to keep them warm until morning. The hut is quiet now, just the sound of Pudding shifting in the wind outside. She climbs into bed, the straw crunching under her. Tom is beside her, already snoring. Leela and Ben are curled up nearby, sharing a blanket. Beatrice pulls her wool blanket over her, feeling its familiar scratch. She's so sleepy, her eyes close almost by themselves. As she drifts off, she thinks about her day. It was busy, full of work and little moments of joy. She thinks about the witch story and decides it's probably just old Meg's imagination. But just in case, she's glad for the rosemary and the prayer. Her body is tired, her mind is calm, and sleep is coming, soft and warm. She feels safe with her family close and Pudding guarding the door. That's Beatrice's day, simple but full of love. She's a woman who works hard, laughs easily, and believes in old stories. She's sleepy and cozy, ready to rest after a long day. As we leave her, imagine her in her hut, breathing slowly, dreaming of chickens and sunny fields. Her world is far away, but it's warm and real, like a hug from a long time ago. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling a warm fire. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sinking into Beatrice's straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her village. For now, rest and let the quiet of her world wrap you up like a blanket. It's early morning in Beatrice's village and the world is still sleepy. The sky is gray, like a soft blanket covering the sun. A rooster crows, loud and proud, like he's shouting, "Wake up, everyone!" His voice echoes through the quiet village, bouncing off the little mud houses. Beatrice hears him and stirs in her bed. Her eyes are heavy and her body feels slow, but it's time to start the day. This is a cozy, gentle story about how her morning begins, told in super simple words so it's easy to understand, like a tale for a kid in 4th or 5th grade. It's going to be long and calm, perfect for relaxing or drifting off to sleep. So snuggle up and let's follow Beatrice as her day starts. Beatrice is lying on her straw bed, covered with a scratchy wool blanket. The straw crunches a little when she moves, like dry leaves. She yawns big, her mouth opening wide, and stretches her arms up high. Her fingers wiggle and her back pops a tiny bit. She blinks at the ceiling, where the straw roof looks fuzzy in the dim light. The air in her wattle and daub hut is chilly, like when you step outside on a cool fall day. It makes her shiver and she pulls the blanket closer for a moment, not quite ready to get up. Next to her, Pudding the goat is already awake. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to chew on anything she can find. Right now, she's nibbling on something mysterious, a bit of straw maybe, or a piece of cloth she found on the floor. Beatrice reaches over and pats Pudding's head, feeling the goat's soft fur. "What are you eating now, silly?" she whispers, her voice soft and sleepy. Pudding just keeps chewing, her big eyes blinking slowly. Beatrice smiles because pudding always makes her laugh, even first thing in the morning. She sits up, her feet touching the cold dirt floor. The chill makes her toes curl and she rubs her eyes to wake them up. Her hut is small, with walls made of woven sticks and mud. A tiny bit of light sneaks through a crack in the wooden shutters, painting a thin stripe across the floor. Beatrice looks around and sees her family still sleeping. Her husband Tom is snoring, his big beard moving with each breath. Her kids Leela and Ben are curled up together under a blanket, their faces peaceful. The hut is quiet, except for Tom's snores and Pudding's soft chewing. Beatrice takes a deep breath, and the air smells like smoke and earth, a cozy mix that feels like home. She whispers a quick prayer, something her mom taught her when she was little. "Keep the curses away today," she says softly, her hands clasped together. She believes in old stories about witches and bad magic, and the prayer makes her feel safe, like a shield against spooky things. It's a habit like saying bless you when someone sneezes, and it helps her start the day with a calm heart. She stands up, moving slowly because her body is still waking up. Her dress is a simple brown tunic, a bit worn at the edges, and she ties a cloth apron around her waist. Her hair is messy, so she tucks it under a scarf, humming a little tune as she does. The tune is soft, like a lullaby, and it makes her feel happy even if the morning is cold. She steps over to the fire pit in the middle of the hut. The fire from last night is just ashes now, with a few tiny coals glowing red. She kneels down, her fingers stiff from the chill, and starts to work. Beatrice picks up some dry sticks from a pile by the wall. She places them carefully over the coals, like building a tiny tower. Then she blows gently, her cheeks puffing out. The coals glow brighter and a small flame pops up, licking the sticks. She adds more wood little by little until the fire is crackling, sending sparks up into the air. The warmth spreads, chasing away the cold, and the hut starts to feel cozy. The firelight dances on the walls, making shadows wiggle like they're alive. Beatrice smiles because lighting the fire is her favorite morning job. It's like bringing the sun inside. Her eyes are still heavy, like they want to close again. She blinks hard, shaking her head to stay awake. She's tired, but there's work to do, and she knows the day will be good. She stands up, brushing her hands on her apron, and looks out through the crack in the shutters. The village outside is quiet, wrapped in the gray morning light. She hears the soft cluck of hens from the chicken pen behind the hut, and the creak of a neighbor's shutters as someone else wakes up. It's a peaceful sound, like the village is stretching and yawning just like her. Beatrice steps outside, the wooden door creaking as she opens it. The air is even colder out here, and her breath makes little clouds in front of her face. She wraps her arms around herself, wishing she had a cloak, but she'll warm up soon. The village is a cluster of small huts, all looking like hers, with straw roofs and muddy paths between them. The fields stretch out beyond, covered in dew that sparkles like tiny stars. In the distance, a forest looms, dark and quiet, where fairies might hide. The sky is still gray, but it's getting lighter, promising a sunny day. She walks to the chicken pen, her shoes sinking a little in the soft dirt. The hens are awake, scratching the ground and clucking softly. Beatrice hums her tune again, and the chickens look up, their heads tilting. "Good morning, my ladies," she says, like she's talking to friends. She opens the pen and tosses in some grain from a sack. The hens rush over, pecking happily, and Beatrice checks the straw for eggs. She finds 3, warm and smooth, and slips them into her apron pocket. They clink gently, and she's careful not to drop them. Back inside, the fire is burning nicely, and the hut is warmer. Tom is awake now, sitting up and scratching his beard. "Morning, Bee," he says, his voice rough from sleep. Beatrice smiles and nods, setting the eggs on a wooden shelf. Leela and Ben are starting to move too, mumbling and rubbing their eyes. "Up you too," Beatrice says, her voice gentle but firm. Pudding waiting for breakfast. Ben giggles and jumps up, pretending to chase the goat, who just stares at him. Leela yawns and stretches, her hair a tangled mess. Beatrice starts breakfast, moving slowly because her fingers are still a bit clumsy from sleep. She takes some bread from yesterday, it's hard now like a rock but still good. She cuts it into chunks with a knife, her hands steady. Then she pours milk from a jug into a small pot and sets it over the fire to warm. The milk is from Pudding, fresh from yesterday, and it smells sweet. She stirs it with a wooden spoon, watching bubbles form. The hut fills with the smell of warm milk, and it makes everyone's tummy rumble. While the milk heats, Beatrice sweeps the floor with a broom made of twigs. The dirt floor gets dusty, and she likes to keep it clean. She moves the broom in slow circles, humming her tune again. The kids are getting dressed, pulling on their tunics and arguing over who gets the best spot by the fire. Tom is outside, checking the tools he'll need for the fields. Pudding follows him, hopping for a snack, and Beatrice laughs when she hears Tom shoo her away. Breakfast is ready, and everyone sits on the floor around the fire. Beatrice hands out the bread, and they dip it in the warm milk to make it soft. Ben drops crumbs everywhere, and Leela scolds him, but Beatrice just smiles. "Eat up," she says, taking a bite of her own bread. The milk is creamy and warm, and the bread tastes hearty like the fields it came from. They eat quietly, the only sounds the crackle of the fire and Pudding's soft bleats from the corner. It's a simple meal, but it fills their bellies and makes them feel ready for the day. After breakfast, Beatrice cleans up. She stacks the bowls, wooden ones carved by Tom, and wipes them with a cloth. The kids help, carrying the pot to the door to dump out the extra milk. Beatrice checks the fire again, adding a log to keep it going. She's moving faster now, her body waking up with the warmth and food. Her eyes aren't as heavy, but she still feels a little dreamy, like part of her is still in bed. She steps outside again to fetch water. The well is in the center of the village, a big stone circle with a rope and bucket. She walks along the path, nodding to neighbors who are starting their day. Some are feeding animals, others are carrying baskets of grain. The village is waking up and the air is full of soft sounds, clucks, moos, and the creak of cartwheels. Beatrice feels happy, knowing everyone is working together like a big family. At the well, she lowers the bucket and pulls it up, her arms strong from years of this chore. The water is cold, splashing her hands, and she shivers again. She carries the bucket back, careful not to spill, her steps slow and steady. The water sloshes and she hums to keep her rhythm. Back at the hut, she pours some into a pot for cooking later. The rest she sets aside for washing or drinking. Water is precious and she's careful not to waste it. Now it's time to milk Pudding. Beatrice leads the goat to a corner of the hut where a wooden stool waits. Pudding is fussy, flicking her tail and trying to nibble Beatrice's scarf. "Oh you," Beatrice says, laughing. She sits and starts milking, her hands gentle but firm. The milk squirts into a bucket, making a soft, steady sound. Pudding grumbles but stands still and Beatrice hums to keep her calm. When the bucket is half full, she's done and she pats Pudding's side. "Good girl," she says, and Pudding trots off to chew on something else. Beatrice carries the milk inside, setting it on the shelf with the eggs. She's proud of her morning work, fire lit, eggs collected, milk ready, breakfast done. The hut is warm now and the kids are playing outside, chasing each other in the dirt. Tom is getting ready to head to the fields, his plow and horse waiting. Beatrice feels a little ache in her back from bending over, but it's a good ache, like her body is saying, "You're doing great." She takes a moment to sit by the fire, warming her hands. The village is fully awake now and she hears more sounds, kids laughing, a dog barking, someone chopping wood. The gray sky is turning blue and the sun is peeking out, promising a nice day. Beatrice thinks about her chores, cooking, gardening, sweeping, and feels ready. She also thinks about the prayer she said, hopping it keeps the witches and curses away. She believes in those old stories, but she doesn't let them scare her too much. She's got work to do and a family to love. As the morning goes on, Beatrice starts her next task, checking the garden. She walks to the small patch behind the hut where she grows herbs and vegetables. The plants are green and strong, but there are weeds to pull. She kneels down, her hands digging in the dirt, and hums her tune again. The air is warmer now and the sun feels good on her back. Pudding follows, nibbling grass nearby, and Beatrice laughs when the goat tries to eat a weed she just pulled. She works slowly, pulling weeds and checking for bugs. Her garden is like a little world full of life. She talks to the plants, saying, "Grow big, okay?" It's silly, but it makes her happy. She finds a ripe carrot and pulls it out, brushing off the dirt. It's bright orange and she saves it for lunch. The garden is hard work, but it's also peaceful, like a quiet corner of the village just for her. By now, the morning is moving along. The sun is higher and the village is busy. Beatrice hears the blacksmith hammering, the sound ringing like a bell. Kids run by, shouting and laughing. A neighbor, old Meg, walks past and waves. "Morning, Bee," she called. "Heard a noise last night, might be a fairy." Beatrice nods, feeling a tiny shiver, but she smiles. "I'll put out some milk tonight," she says, and Meg nods back. These little chats are part of village life, sharing stories and keeping each other company. Beatrice heads back inside to start cooking lunch. She's making pottage, a thick soup with barley and vegetables. She chops an onion, her eyes watering, and tosses it into a pot with some water. She adds barley and herbs, stirring slowly over the fire. The smell is warm and good, like a hug in a bowl. Leela comes in, curious, and Beatrice lets her stir. "Careful," she says, and Leela nods, her tongue sticking out as she focuses. While the pottage cooks, Beatrice sweeps the floor again. The dirt gets tracked in from outside and she likes to keep it tidy. She moves the broom in big, slow sweeps, her mind wandering. She thinks about her family, her garden, and the stories old Meg tells. She wonders if fairies are real, but then she shakes her head and laughs. "Silly Bee," she says to herself. She's too busy to worry about fairies all day. The morning is almost over now and Beatrice is tired but happy. Her hands are dirty, her apron is splashed with water, and her scarf is crooked. She's done a lot already, lit the fire, fed the chickens, milked Pudding, fetched water, and started lunch. Her eyes are less heavy, but she's still a little sleepy, like part of her wants to crawl back into bed. She knows the day is just beginning, but she's ready for it, one step at a time. She steps outside to call the kids for lunch. The village is bright now, with sunlight bouncing off the fields. The air smells like grass and smoke, and the sounds of work and play fill her ears. She sees Tom in the distance, guiding the plow behind Bess the horse. Leela and Ben are playing with a stick, pretending it's a sword. "Lunch," Beatrice calls, and they come running, their faces red from the sun. As they sit to eat, Beatrice feels warm inside, not just from the fire but from her family. The morning has been soft and simple, just like her life. She's worked hard, hummed her songs, and kept the curses away with her prayer. The village is alive around her and she's part of it, like a thread in a big, cozy blanket. Another day has begun and she's ready for whatever comes next. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's warm pottage. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sitting by her fire. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her day. For now, rest and let the quiet of her morning wrap you up like a hug. It's the middle of the day in Beatrice's village and the sun is shining bright. The air smells like grass and warm dirt, and the little mud houses look cozy under the blue sky. Beatrice is busy, moving through her chores like she's dancing a slow, familiar dance she's known forever. She's a peasant woman with a crooked smile, rough hands, and a heart full of love for her family. Her day is filled with small tasks, one after another, and each one makes her a little more tired, pulling her closer to the evening when she can rest. This story is super simple, using easy words like you'd find in a book for 4th or 5th graders. It's long and gentle, perfect for feeling calm or even falling asleep. So get comfy, maybe tuck your blanket around you, and let's follow Beatrice as she works through her day, one tiny task at a time. Beatrice is outside her wattle and daub hut, the kind made of sticks and mud with a straw roof. The village is alive with soft sounds, chickens clucking, kids laughing, and the creak of a cart rolling by. She's already done some morning chores like lighting the fire and feeding her chickens, but there's more to do. Her apron is tied tight around her waist, and her scarf keeps her messy hair out of her face. She hums a little tune, the same one she sings to her chickens, and it makes her steps feel lighter. Her first task is to milk Pudding, her goat. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to make trouble. Beatrice leads her to a corner of the yard where a wooden stool and a bucket wait. She sits down, patting Pudding's side. "Be good, okay," she says, but Pudding flicks her tail like she's saying, "No promises." Beatrice laughs and starts milking, her hands moving in a steady rhythm. She squeezes gently, and milk squirts into the bucket, making a soft, plinking sound. Pudding wiggles and tries to nibble Beatrice's apron, flicking her tail in protest. "Oh, you silly goat," Beatrice says, shaking her head. It takes a while, but soon the bucket is half full of creamy milk. She pats Pudding again, saying, "Good girl," and lets the goat trot off to chew on some grass. Carrying the milk bucket inside, Beatrice sets it on a wooden shelf in her hut. The milk smells sweet, and she's proud of Pudding, even if she's a bit naughty. Her hands are a little sore from milking, but it's a good kind of sore, like her body is saying, "You did a great job." She wipes her hands on her apron and takes a quick sip of water from a clay cup. The hut is warm from the fire, and the air smells like smoke and bread. Her kids, Leela and Ben, are outside playing, and her husband, Tom, is in the fields with their horse, Bess. Everyone's busy, and Beatrice feels like part of a big, working team. Her next task is to fetch water from the well. The well is in the middle of the village, a big circle of stones with a rope and bucket hanging over it. Beatrice grabs an empty bucket from the hut and starts walking. The path is muddy, and her shoes squish with each step. She waves to neighbors as she goes, smiling at a woman carrying a basket of eggs and a man leading a cow. The village is buzzing, not loud like a city, but soft and steady like a beehive. Everyone's doing their own chores, and it makes Beatrice feel connected, like they're all helping each other. When she gets to the well, she sees Old Meg, a neighbor with gray hair and a quick tongue. Old Meg is pulling up a bucket of water, her face serious. "You won't believe it," she says, leaning close. "My milk went sour this morning. I swear it's a curse." Beatrice listens, her eyes wide. She believes in curses, like witches putting bad magic on things, and it makes her tummy feel a little wobbly, but she doesn't want to seem scared. "Maybe it was just the heat," she says, nodding wisely. Old Meg shakes her head, muttering about witches, and Beatrice nods again, not sure what to say. She doesn't like thinking about curses, but she can't help wondering if Old Meg is right. Beatrice lowers her bucket into the well, the rope creaking as it goes down. She pulls it up, her arms working hard. The bucket is heavy, full of cold, clear water that splashes a little on her apron. Her arms ache as she lifts it, but she's strong from years of this chore. She carries the water back to the hut, walking slowly so it doesn't spill. The bucket swings, and she hums her tune to keep her steps even. Her mind drifts, thinking about Old Meg's story. She decides to sprinkle some salt by the door tonight, just in case a curse is floating around. It's an old trick her grandma taught her, and it makes her feel safer. Back at the hut, she pours the water into a big clay pot for cooking and washing. Some she sets aside in a jug for drinking. Water is important, and she's careful not to waste a drop. Her arms are tired now, and she shakes them out like a dog shaking off rain. She sits for a moment by the fire, warming her hands. The hut is cozy, with sunlight sneaking through the shutters, making stripes on the dirt floor. She hears Leela and Ben outside, laughing as they chase a butterfly. Their voices make her smile, and she feels a little less worried about curses. Next, Beatrice heads to her garden. It's a small patch of dirt behind the hut, surrounded by a wobbly fence to keep out rabbits. She grows vegetables like carrots and cabbages, and herbs like mint and thyme. The plants are green and happy, but there are always weeds to pull. She kneels down, her knees sinking into the soft earth, and starts tugging at the weeds. Her hands get dirty, but she doesn't mind. She talks to the plants, saying, "You're doing great, little ones." It's silly, but it makes her feel like she's helping them grow. Pudding follows her, nibbling grass and bleating. Beatrice laughs when the goat tries to eat a weed she just pulled. "That's not for you," she says, shooing Pudding away. The goat blinks and trots off, looking for something else to chew. Beatrice keeps working, pulling weeds and checking for bugs. She finds a fat caterpillar on a cabbage leaf and flicks it away, careful not to hurt it. The sun is warm on her back, and the air smells like dirt and herbs. The garden is her favorite place, quiet and peaceful, like a secret hideout. As she works, she hears more village sounds. A dog barks, and kids shout as they play a game with sticks. The blacksmith is hammering, the clang ringing through the air. Beatrice likes these noises, they make the village feel alive. But her mind keeps drifting back to old Meg's curse story. She wonders if a witch really could sour milk. She shakes her head, telling herself to focus. No witch is here, she whispers, pulling another weed. But just to be safe, she plans to say an extra prayer tonight. After a while, her basket is full of weeds and the garden looks tidy. She stands up, stretching her back, which aches from bending over. Her hands are covered in dirt and she wipes them on her apron, leaving brown smudges. She finds a ripe carrot and pulls it out, brushing off the dirt. It's bright and crunchy and she saves it for supper. She feels proud of her garden, like it's a little gift to her family. Beatrice carries the basket of weeds to a compost pile near the hut. She dumps them out, knowing they'll help the soil later. Pudding tries to eat the pile and Beatrice laughs, shooing her away again. "You're too hungry, Pudding," she says. The goat bleats like she's arguing and Beatrice shakes her head, grinning. She loves Pudding's silly ways, even if they make extra work. Now it's time to check the chickens. Beatrice walks to their pen, a small fence behind the hut. The hens are clucking and pecking at the ground, happy from the grain she gave them earlier. She checks for more eggs, finding one warm one in the straw. She slips it into her apron pocket where it clinks against the others. The chickens tilt their heads, watching her, and she hums her tune again. "You're good girls," she says, tossing them a little more grain. The hens rush over, flapping their wings, and Beatrice smiles. She loves her chickens. They're like feathery friends who always listen. Back inside, Beatrice starts preparing lunch. She's making pottage again, the thick soup her family loves. She takes the pot of water she fetched and sets it over the fire. Then she chops the carrot from the garden, her knife moving slowly because her hands are tired. She adds barley, some dried peas, and a pinch of herbs. The pot starts to bubble and the hut fills with a warm, yummy smell. Leela comes in, curious, and Beatrice lets her stir. "Slow and steady," she says, and Leela nods, her eyes focused. While the pottage cooks, Beatrice sweeps the floor. The dirt gets tracked in from outside and she likes to keep it clean. She uses a broom made of twigs, moving it in big, slow circles. Her body is starting to feel heavy, like it's made of soft dough. Each chore adds a little more weight, pulling her closer to evening when she can rest. She hums to keep going, her mind drifting like a leaf floating on a stream. She thinks about her family, her garden, and old Meg's curse. She wonders if she should tell Tom about it, but decides to wait. No need to worry him yet. The pottage is ready, and Beatrice calls the kids. "Lunch," she shouts, and Leela and Ben come running, their faces red from playing. Tom is still in the field, so it's just the three of them. They sit on the floor by the fire, sharing a big bowl of pottage. Beatrice tears off chunks of bread and they dip it in the soup. The pottage is hot and filling, with the carrot adding a sweet crunch. Ben spills some on his tunic and Leela laughs, pointing. Beatrice smiles, wiping his chin with her apron. "Messy boy," she says, but her voice is warm. After lunch, Beatrice cleans up. She washes the bowl with a bit of water, scrubbing with a cloth. The kids help, carrying the pot outside to dump the scraps. Pudding tries to eat the scraps and Beatrice shoos her away, laughing. She's tired now, her arms and back aching from all the work. She sits by the fire for a moment, closing her eyes. The warmth feels good, like a hug, and her mind drifts again. She thinks about the evening when the sun will set and she can crawl into her straw bed. Sleep feels far away, but each chore brings it closer. Her next task is to mend a tunic. Ben tore his yesterday, running through the bushes. Beatrice takes a needle and thread from a wooden box. She sits outside where the light is better and starts stitching. Her fingers are slow and she pricks herself once, muttering, "Ouch." She sucks her finger and keeps going, sewing the tear closed. The thread is rough, but it holds strong. She hums as she works, the needle moving up and down like a tiny dance. Leela sits nearby, playing with a stick, and Beatrice feels happy, surrounded by her kids and the village. As she sews, another neighbor, young Sarah, walks by. "Bea, did you hear about Meg's milk?" she asks. Beatrice nods, her needle pausing. "She says it's a curse," she replies. Sarah shrugs, but her eyes are nervous. "I hope it's not true," she says, and Beatrice nods again. She doesn't like these curse talks, but they're part of village life. She finishes the tunic and sets it aside, her hands tired from the small, careful work. Now it's time to check the firewood. The fire needs to keep going all day for cooking and warmth. Beatrice walks to the woodpile by the hut where logs are stacked in a messy pile. She picks up a few, her arms aching again, and carries them inside. She adds one to the fire, watching it catch and crackle. The warmth spreads and she sighs, feeling a little more tired. Her body is heavy now, like it's ready to sink into a chair, but there's no time for that yet. She heads back to the garden for one last check. The sun is lower now, painting the sky with pink and gold. She pulls a few more weeds and waters the plants with a bucket of well water. The water splashes and she giggles when it gets her shoes wet. Pudding follows, bleeding, and Beatrice tosses her a carrot top. "There you go, greedy," she says, and Pudding munches happily. As the afternoon fades, Beatrice's chores slow down. She's done a lot: milked Pudding, fetched water, worked in the garden, cooked, mended, and more. Each task is small, but together they fill her day. Her body is heavy, her legs tired, her hands sore. She feels like a leaf drifting on a stream, moving gently toward evening. The village is quieter now, with kids going home and animals settling down. The air is cooler, and the smell of supper floats from other huts. Beatrice sits outside, watching the sunset. The sky is beautiful like a painting and she feels peaceful. She thinks about old Meg's curse again, but it seems less scary now. She's worked hard and that makes her feel strong. She'll say her prayers tonight, sprinkle the salt, and trust that her family is safe. Her mind is calm, drifting like that leaf, ready for the next part of the day. She calls Leela and Ben to help with supper. They run over, dusty and happy, and Beatrice hugs them tight. "Good kids," she says, and they grin. Tom will be back soon and they'll eat together, sharing stories by the fire. Each chore has brought Beatrice closer to this moment when the day winds down and sleep is waiting. Her body is ready, her heart is full, and the village hums around her, soft and steady. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's pottage. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sitting by her fire. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her evening. For now, rest and let the quiet of her day wrap you up like a warm blanket. It's the afternoon in Beatrice's village, and the sun is high in the sky, warm and bright. The air smells like dirt and grass, and the little mud houses with straw roofs look cozy under the light. Beatrice, a peasant woman with a crooked smile and rough hands, is working hard just like she does every day. Her body is starting to feel tired, and that's what the story is about, how her work makes her ache but also makes her sleepy in a good way. This story is super easy to understand, with simple words like you find in a book for 4th or 5th graders. It's long and gentle, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's follow Beatrice as her body gets tired and she dreams of rest. Beatrice is in the fields, a big open space where the village grows food like wheat and barley. She's been bending over all morning, pulling weeds and checking plants. Her back aches now like someone's pressing on it with a heavy hand. Every time she bends down, it hurts a little more, and when she stands up, she has to stretch to make it feel better. She puts her hands on her hips and leans back, looking at the sky. "Oof," she says softly, her voice quiet. The ache is deep, but it's not a bad kind. It's the kind that comes from working hard, and it makes her feel strong, even if she's tired. Her hands are gritty, covered in dirt from digging in the soil. The dirt is stuck under her fingernails and in the lines of her palms, making them look like a map. She rubs her hands together and some of the soil falls off, but they're still rough and dusty. She likes the feel of the dirt. It's cool and soft, like a reminder of the earth she works with every day. Her hands are sore too from gripping tools and pulling weeds. They feel stiff, like they need a rest, but Beatrice keeps going. She knows her work helps her family, and that makes the soreness worth it. Her feet are sore from walking on the hard ground. The fields are full of stones, and every step feels like a little poke. Her shoes are simple, just leather tied around her feet, and they don't protect her much. Sometimes a sharp rock makes her wince, but she shakes it off and keeps moving. Her legs are tired too from standing and walking all day. They feel heavy, like they're made of wood, and each step takes a bit more effort. Beatrice doesn't mind, though. The soreness means she's doing her job, and that's important. The work in the fields is endless. There's always something to do, pulling weeds, planting seeds, checking for bugs, or fixing fences. Today, Beatrice is weeding, which means bending down to yank out little green plants that steal food from the crops. She moves along a row of wheat, her hands tugging at the weeds, her back bending and straightening over and over. The sun is warm on her neck, and sweat trickles down her forehead. She wipes it away with her sleeve, leaving a smudge of dirt on her face. She doesn't care, she's too busy to worry about looking clean. The village around her is busy too. She hears kids laughing as they play nearby, their voices high and happy. A dog barks and somewhere a cow moos. The blacksmith's hammer clangs like a bell ringing over and over. These sounds mix with the rustle of the wheat and the chirp of birds, making a soft, steady hum that feels like home. Beatrice likes the noise. It makes her feel like she's part of something bigger, like the village is a big family working together. She stops for a moment to catch her breath. Her back aches more now, and she stretches again, her hands reaching for the sky. She looks at the field, seeing rows of green plants stretching out under the sun. It's beautiful, like a big green blanket, and she's proud to help it grow. She thinks about the bread they'll make from the wheat and the pottage they'll cook with the vegetables. Her work feeds her family, her husband Tom and her kids, Leela and Ben, and that makes every ache feel worth it. Beatrice's hands are gritty, but she keeps working. She pulls another weed, her fingers wrapping around its stem. The weed is stubborn, its roots deep, and she has to tug hard. When it comes out, she shakes the dirt off and tosses it into a pile. Her hands feel rougher now, the dirt grinding into her skin. She rubs them on her apron, but it doesn't help much. The apron is dirty too, with smudges of soil and splashes of water from earlier chores. Beatrice doesn't mind, she's a peasant, and dirt is part of her life. Her feet are sorer now, the stones in the field poking harder. She shifts her weight, trying to find a softer spot, but the ground is tough. She thinks about her shoes, worn and thin, and wishes they were thicker. But new shoes are hard to make, and she's saving leather for Ben, who's growing fast. She takes a step, wincing as a rock presses into her heel, but she keeps going. Her legs feel like they're dragging, each step slower than the last. She hums a little tune, the one she sings to her chickens, and it helps her keep moving. The work is honest, Beatrice thinks. It's not fancy like a king's job, but it's real. She's helping the earth grow food, and that's important. She likes the way the plants look, green and strong, reaching for the sun. She likes the feel of the soil, even if it makes her hands gritty. She likes the ache in her back because it means she's doing something good. The work is hard, but it's fair. It gives her food, a home, and a family to love. As she works, she hears a neighbor, young Sarah, calling from another field. "Be you working hard?" Sarah shouts, waving. Beatrice waves back, her arm tired but her smile big. "Always," she calls, laughing. Sarah is younger, with a quick laugh, and Beatrice likes her. They chat sometimes about the village, the crops, or the kids. Today, Sarah doesn't stop, but her wave makes Beatrice feel happy, like she's not alone in the fields. She keeps weeding, moving down the row. The sun is hot now, and her scarf is sticking to her neck. She pulls it off, tying it around her waist, and lets her hair fall loose. It's messy, but the breeze feels good on her skin. She wipes her forehead again, her sleeve leaving another dirt smudge. Her hands are so gritty they feel like sandpaper, and she shakes them out, trying to loosen the stiffness. The weeds keep coming, but she's making progress, and the row looks cleaner now. Her feet are really sore, and she decides to sit for a moment. She finds a flat stone and lowers herself onto it, sighing as her legs rest. The stone is cool, and it feels good against her tired body. She stretches her feet out, wiggling her toes in her shoes. The soreness is deep, like her feet are complaining, but sitting helps. She looks at the sky, blue with a few fluffy clouds, and takes a deep breath. The air is warm, smelling like plants and earth, and it fills her lungs with calm. Beatrice thinks about her straw bed, waiting back at the hut. It's not soft like a modern bed, just a pile of straw covered with a wool blanket, but it's her favorite place. She imagines lying down, the straw crunching under her, the blanket warm and scratchy. Her body is heavy now, like it's ready to sink into that bed and stay there forever. The thought makes her sleepy, not in a bad way, but in a good way, like a cozy weight that says, "You've done enough." She sighs, a soft, happy sound like a cat purring. Sleep is coming, she knows, soft and sure, like a friend waiting at the end of the day. She stands up, her back groaning a little, and gets back to work. The weeds won't pull themselves, and she wants to finish this row before lunch. Her hands grip another weed, and she pulls, her fingers gritty and sore. The weed comes out, and she tosses it aside, moving to the next. Her back aches with each bend, but she keeps going, slow and steady. Her feet shuffle, avoiding the sharpest stones, but they still hurt. She hums her tune, and it helps her focus, like a little song to keep her moving. The village is still buzzing around her. She hears Leela and Ben playing nearby, their voices high as they chase each other. "Got you," Ben shouts, and Leela squeals, laughing. Beatrice smiles, her heart warm. Her kids are her reason for working so hard. She wants them to have food, a warm hut, and happy days. The thought makes her back ache a little less, like love is stronger than tiredness. She finishes the row and stands up, stretching again. Her hands are gritty, her back sore, her feet aching, but the field looks good. The wheat is tall and green, and the weeds are gone, at least for now. She wipes her hands on her apron, but the dirt stays stuck. She shakes her head, laughing softly. "Dirty hands, happy heart," she says to herself, a saying her mom used to say. Beatrice walks back to the hut, her steps slow. Her legs are heavy, like they're tied to stones, and each step makes her feet complain. The sun is lower now, not as hot, and the air is cooling. The village is getting ready for lunch, with smoke rising from chimneys as people cook. She smells pottage, the thick soup everyone makes, and her tummy rumbles. She's hungry, and the thought of food makes her move a little faster. At the hut, she sets down her basket of weeds and washes her hands with a splash of water from a jug. The water is cold, and it feels good on her gritty skin. She scrubs, but some dirt stays under her nails. She doesn't mind, it's part of being a peasant. Her hands are sore, but they're strong, and she's proud of them. She dries them on her apron, which is so dirty it's almost brown now. Inside, the hut is warm, and the fire is crackling. Leela and Ben are already there, sitting by the fire, playing with sticks. "Mama, you're dirty," Ben says, pointing at her apron. Beatrice laughs and ruffles his hair. "So are you, muddy boy," she says, and Ben giggles. Leela shows her a flower she found, and Beatrice tucks it behind her ear, smiling. Her kids make her heart feel light, even if her body is heavy. She starts lunch, taking a pot of pottage off the fire. It's been simmering, and the smell is warm and hearty. She stirs it, adding a pinch of herbs from her garden. The soup is thick with barley, carrots, and peas, and it looks yummy. She tears off chunks of bread, hard but good, and sets them on a wooden plate. Her hands are stiff, and the knife feels heavy, but she keeps going. Her back aches as she bends over the pot, and her feet throb when she stands. She sighs again, that cozy sound, and thinks of her bed. It's not time yet, but the thought keeps her going. The kids help set out bowls, and Beatrice calls for Tom. He's back from the fields, dusty and tired like her. "Smells good, Bea," he says, kissing her cheek. She smiles, her face warm. They sit on the floor, sharing the pottage and bread. The soup is hot, and the bread softens when they dip it in. Ben spills some, and Leela scolds him, but Beatrice just laughs. Her body is tired, but her heart is full, surrounded by her family. As they eat, Beatrice feels the weight of her work. Her back aches, her hands are gritty, her feet sore. Each bite of pottage makes her feel heavier, like her body is saying, "Rest soon." She listens to Tom talk about the fields, and the kids chatter about their games. Her mind drifts like a leaf on a stream, thinking of sleep. The straw bed is waiting, and she can almost feel it, soft and crunchy under her. Sleep is coming, not now but soon, and it feels like a promise. After lunch, Beatrice cleans up. She washes the bowls with water, her hands sore but steady. The kids help, carrying the pot outside to dump the scraps. Putting the goat tries to eat them and Beatrice shoos her away, laughing. Her back aches as she bends to scrub and her feet hurt when she stands. She moves slower now, her body heavy like a sack of grain. She hums her tune, soft and low, to keep going. Her next task is to check the firewood. She walks to the pile outside, her steps slow. Her legs feel like they're stuck in mud and her feet throb with each step. She picks up a few logs, her arms aching, and carries them inside. She adds one to the fire, watching it catch and crackle. The warmth is nice, but her body is so tired she just wants to sit. She does for a moment by the fire, closing her eyes. Her back relaxes and her feet stop hurting for a bit. She sighs, cozy and calm, dreaming of her bed. But there's more to do. Beatrice heads to the garden, her body protesting. She checks the plants, pulling a few more weeds. Her hands are gritty again and her back aches with each bend. The sun is lower, the air cooler, and the village is quieter. She hears the soft cluck of her chickens and the distant moo of a cow. Her mind drifts, thinking of sleep, of the straw bed waiting. Each weed she pulls makes her heavier, like her body is ready to stop. She finishes in the garden and walks back to the hut, her steps slow and heavy. Her back aches, her hands are sore, her feet throb. The work is endless, but it's honest and it's hers. She feels sleepy, not just tired, but sleepy in a good way, like her body is wrapping her in a warm hug. She sighs again, that cozy sound, and looks at the sky. The sun is setting, painting the clouds pink and gold. Evening is close and sleep is closer. Beatrice sits outside, watching the village settle. Kids are going home and animals are quieting down. The air smells like supper and smoke curls from chimneys. Her body is heavy, like it's ready to melt into the ground. She thinks of her straw bed, the way it crunches, the way the blanket feels. Sleep is coming, soft and sure, like a gentle wave carrying her away. She smiles, her heart calm, her mind drifting. The work is done for now and rest is near. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's pottage. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sinking into her straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her evening. For now, rest and let the quiet of her tired day wrap you up like a warm blanket. It's nighttime in Beatrice's village and the world is quiet and dark. The stars are twinkling in the sky, and the little mud houses with straw roofs are snug and still. Beatrice, a peasant woman with a crooked smile and rough hands, is ready to rest after a long day of work. This story is about her bed, a simple place where she sleeps, and how it feels to her. It's told in super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so anyone can understand it. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's dive into Beatrice's world as she settles into her bed. Beatrice's bed is not like the beds we have today. It's not soft or fluffy with lots of pillows. It's a straw mattress, which means it's a big sack filled with dry straw like the stuff you see in a barn. The straw is packed tight and laid on a wooden frame, a simple bed made of logs tied together with rope. The frame is low to the ground, so Chinese letter, 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 Chinese letter. Doesn't mind the lumps, she's used to them and they feel like part of her bed's personality, like it's saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm yours. To make the bed smell nice and keep bugs like fleas away, Beatrice stuffs it with dried herbs. She uses things like lavender and rosemary, which she picks from her garden and dries in the sun. The herbs are tucked into the straw, and when she lies down, they crunch a little and let out a soft, sweet smell. The lavender smells calm, like a quiet meadow, and the rosemary is sharp and fresh, like a forest. The herbs don't stop every flea. Sometimes Beatrice still finds a little itch, but they help a lot and they make her bed feel special, like it's got a bit of magic to keep her safe. The bed is covered with a wool blanket, which is thick and heavy. The blanket is made from the wool of their sheep, spun into thread and woven by Beatrice's neighbor, Old Meg. It's not soft like a modern blanket, it scratches a little like when you rub against a rough towel. The wool is prickly on her skin, especially when she first pulls it over her, but it's warm and that's what matters. In the cold nights when the air is chilly and the wind sneaks through the cracks in the hut, the blanket wraps Beatrice up like a cozy cocoon, keeping her toasty from her toes to her chin. She loves the warmth, even if it takes a minute to get used to the scratchy feel. When Beatrice climbs into bed, she sinks into the straw and it makes a rustling sound like leaves whispering in the wind. The straw shifts under her weight, molding to her body so it feels like the bed is hugging her. The lumps bump against her back or hips, but she wiggles a little to find a comfy spot. Sometimes she feels a hard bit of straw poking her and she reaches under to smooth it out. Other times, she just lets it be, too tired to care. The rustling is a soft noise like a lullaby, and it makes her feel calm, like the bed is saying, relax, you're home. The bed smells of earth and home, a mix of the straw, the herbs, and the dirt floor of the hut. It's not a fancy smell like flowers or perfume, but it's familiar, like the smell of a favorite sweater or a well-loved book. The earthiness comes from the straw and the mud walls, grounding Beatrice, making her feel connected to the land she works every day. The herbs add a touch of sweetness, and there's a hint of smoke from the fire pit, which lingers in the air. Together, these smells wrap around her, making the bed feel like a safe, cozy nest where she can let go of the day. Beatrice's bed is not a king's bed with silk sheets or fluffy pillows. It's not even a merchant's bed with a feather mattress or carved posts. It's a peasant's bed, simple and plain, made with what she has. But to Beatrice, it's perfect in its own way. It holds her just fine, supporting her tired body after hours of milking goats, pulling weeds, and chasing kids. It's sturdy, never creaking or wobbling, and it's big enough for her to stretch out, though she shares it with Tom and sometimes the kids when they're cold. She loves her bed, lumps and all, because it's hers and it's where she finds peace. As Beatrice sinks into the mattress, she feels the day's ache start to fade. Her back, sore from bending in the fields, relaxes against the straw. Her hands, gritty from dirt, rest on the blanket, the scratchy wool feeling softer now that she's warming up. Her feet, tired from walking on stones, tingle a little as they sink into the bed's embrace. The rustling straw is like a gentle song, and she sighs, a cozy sound that says, "I'm ready to rest." Her eyes are heavy and her body feels like it's melting into the bed, the lumps and scratches no match for her need to sleep. The wooden frame creaks a tiny bit as she shifts, but it's a friendly creak, like the hut itself is settling down for the night. The frame is rough, with splinters here and there, but Beatrice is careful not to snag her blanket. Tom made the frame years ago when they first got married, and it's held up through countless nights. It's low to the ground so Beatrice can swing her legs over the side easily, and it's wide enough for two, though it's a bit snug when Tom's big frame takes up space. She doesn't mind, she likes being close, feeling his warmth next to her. The straw mattress is stuffed fresh every few months when the old straw gets too flat or dusty. Beatrice and Tom drag the sack outside, empty it into the compost pile, and fill it with new straw from the harvest. They add handfuls of dried herbs, crushing them a little to release the smell, and tie the sack tight. It's hard work restuffing the mattress, but Beatrice enjoys it. She likes the smell of fresh straw, and the way the bed feels plump and firm afterward. It's like giving her bed a new life, making it ready for more cozy nights. The wool blanket is heavy, pulling down on her body like a gentle weight. It's big enough to cover her and Tom, though sometimes they tug it back and forth in their sleep, each wanting more. The blanket is a deep brown, faded from years of use, with a few patches where Beatrice sewed up. Chinese letter, 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 BEATRIC, Chinese letter, 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 Chinese letter. Beatrice lies back, her head resting on a small sack stuffed with straw and herbs, a simple pillow that's just right for her. It's not fluffy like a modern pillow, but it supports her neck, and the herbs inside smell nice, adding to the bed's cozy scent. She pulls the blanket up to her chin, feeling the wool scratch her skin but loving the heat it traps. Her body sinks deeper, the straw rustling softly, and she feels like she's floating in a warm, lumpy cloud. The bed holds her close, the lumps pressing into her back, but she's too tired to care. She loves this bed, her bed, and it loves her back, giving her a place to rest and dream. The hut is dark with only a faint glow from the fire pit's dying coals. The air is cool, but the bed is warm, a little world of comfort in the chilly night. Beatrice hears Pudding, her goat, shifting by the door, huffing in her sleep. Tom is beside her, snoring softly, his arm brushing hers. Leela and Ben, her kids, are curled up nearby, their breath slow and steady. The sounds mix with the straw's rustle, creating a quiet lullaby that pulls Beatrice towards sleep. The bed smells of earth, herbs, and home, and it feels like a hug, wrapping her in safety and love. She thinks about her day, milking, Pudding, pulling weeds, cooking pottage, and her body feels heavy like it's part of the bed now. The aches in her back and hands fade, soothed by the straw and blanket. The lumps don't bother her, they're just part of the bed's charm, like freckles on a friend's face. She sighs, a cozy sound, and her eyes close. The bed isn't a king's bed, but it's better, it's hers, and it holds her just fine, night after night, year after year. As she drifts off, the straw rustles one last time, a whisper that says, "Sleep now." The herbs release a final puff of lavender, and the wool blanket settles over her like a warm cloud. Beatrice smiles, her crooked smile, and lets the bed take her away. It's not perfect, but it works, and that's enough for her. The world fades, and she's asleep, safe in her lumpy, scratchy, wonderful bed. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's lavender herbs. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sinking into her straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her night. For now, rest and let the quiet of her bed wrap you up like a warm, scratchy blanket. It's nighttime in Beatrice's little village, and the world outside is dark and quiet. The stars are twinkling like tiny lanterns in the sky, and the mud huts with straw roofs are snug and still. Inside Beatrice's wattle and daub hut, it's time to sleep, and everyone is close together because the hut is small. This story is about who sleeps next to Beatrice and how it feels to be so near to her family and even her goat, Pudding. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so it's simple to understand. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or maybe even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's step into Beatrice's warm, crowded hut to see who sleeps next to her. Beatrice's hut is tiny, just one room for everything: cooking, eating, and sleeping. The walls are made of sticks woven together and covered with mud, and the roof is straw tied in big bundles. The floor is dirt packed down hard with some straw scattered to make it softer. There's a fire pit in the middle, but at night it's just glowing coals giving a soft, warm light. The hut is small, so everyone sleeps close like a big family hug. It's not like modern houses with lots of rooms and big beds. Here, everyone shares the space, and that makes it feel safe and cozy, even if it's a bit squished. Beatrice sleeps on a straw mattress, a big sack filled with dry straw laid on a wooden frame low to the ground. The mattress is lumpy, but she loves it, and it's covered with a scratchy wool blanket that keeps her warm. Next to her is her husband, Tom. Tom is big with a bushy beard and strong arms from working in the fields. At night, he snores softly, a low, rumbly sound like a cat purring. His snores are gentle, not loud enough to wake anyone, but steady like a song that says, "I'm here." Beatrice likes the sound. It makes her feel like Tom is close, even when she's half asleep. Tom sleeps so close that one of his arms is flung over Beatrice. His arm is heavy, resting across her side, but it's warm and comforting like a blanket made of love. Sometimes he moves in his sleep and his arm slides off, but Beatrice just scoots closer, feeling his breath on her neck. They've slept like this for years, ever since they got married, and it's part of what makes the bed feel like home. Tom's warmth is like a fire, keeping her cozy even when the night is cold. She can feel his heartbeat sometimes, slow and steady, and it makes her feel safe, like nothing can hurt her with Tom by her side. Nearby, just a few steps away, are their kids, Leela and Ben. Leela is 7, with messy hair and a giggle like bells. Ben is 5, always muddy and full of questions. They sleep on their own straw mattress, smaller than Beatrice, pushed close to their parents' bed. The kids curl up together under a wool blanket, their bodies tucked into little balls like kittens. Their breaths are steady, soft little puffs that Beatrice can hear if she listens closely. Leela breathes slow and deep, her chest rising and falling. Ben is quieter, but sometimes he mumbles in his sleep, saying silly things like "chase the goat." Beatrice smiles when she hears them, her heart full of love. Leela and Ben sleep so close that Beatrice could reach out and touch them. Sometimes when it's really cold, they crawl into their parents' bed, squeezing between Beatrice and Tom. Their little bodies are warm, and they wiggle until they find a comfy spot. Beatrice doesn't mind the extra crowding. It makes the bed feel even cozier, like a nest full of chicks. The kid's blanket is patched and worn, but it's soft from years of use, and it smells like them, a mix of dirt and sunshine. Their closeness makes Beatrice feel like her family is one big team, always together, even in their dreams. By the door, Pudding the goat sleeps. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to chew on everything: straw, cloth, even Beatrice's apron. At night, she curls up on a pile of straw near the entrance, her legs tucked under her. Pudding huffs in her dreams, little snorts and grumbles that sound like she's arguing with someone. Sometimes she twitches, her hooves tapping the dirt floor like she's chasing something in her sleep. Beatrice can hear Pudding's huffs from the bed, and they make her smile. The goat is part of the family, and her noises are like a funny lullaby, adding to the hut's cozy sounds. The hut is crowded with everyone so close. There's not much space to move, and sometimes Beatrice bumps into Tom or hears the kids shift in their sleep. The straw mattresses rustle when anyone turns over, a soft crunching sound like leaves in the fall. The fire's coals crackle faintly, and the wind outside whistles through tiny cracks in the walls. Pudding's huffs mix with Tom's snores and the kids' breaths, creating a quiet hum that fills the hut. It's like a song, not loud but steady, wrapping everyone in a blanket of sound that says, "You're not alone." The closeness is warm, and that's important because the nights can be cold. The hut's mud walls keep out some of the chill, but not all of it. The wool blankets help, but having Tom, Leela, Ben, and even Pudding nearby makes the hut feel like a warm hug. Beatrice loves the heat of Tom's arm over her, the soft warmth of the kids' bodies, and even Pudding's furry presence by the door. It's like they're all sharing their heat, keeping each other toasty. The crowded bed feels like a safe little world, where the cold can't get in and everyone is protected. No one's alone in the hut, and that's what makes it special. Beatrice believes in old stories about curses and spooky things, like witches sneaking in at night or fairies playing tricks. Those ideas can make her nervous, especially when the wind howls or she hears a strange noise. But with Tom snoring beside her, the kids breathing nearby, and Pudding huffing by the door, she feels safe. The closeness is like a shield, stronger than any curse. She knows her family is right there, and that makes the dark less scary. It's like having a team of superheroes sleeping next to her, ready to chase away any bad magic. Beatrice lies in bed, feeling Tom's arm heavy on her side. She listens to his snores, soft and familiar, and smiles in the dark. She hears Leela and Ben, their breaths like a gentle rhythm, and her heart feels warm. Pudding's huffs by the door are funny, and Beatrice imagines the goat dreaming of eating her favorite rope. The straw mattress rustles as she shifts, finding a comfy spot among the lumps. The wool blanket scratches a little, but it's warm, and she pulls it up to her chin. The hut smells of earth, straw, and the faint sweetness of herbs stuffed in the mattress, a cozy mix that feels like home. She thinks about her day, milking, pudding, fetching water, working in the fields. Her body is tired, her back aching, her hands sore, but the bed and her family make her feel better. Tom's arm is like a promise that tomorrow will be okay. The kids' breaths are a reminder of why she works so hard. Pudding's huffs are a silly song that says, life is good. The crowded hut is full of love, and that love wraps Beatrice up, making her feel safe, even with curses lurking in the dark. The closeness isn't always easy. Sometimes Tom's snores get a bit louder, and Beatrice nudges him gently to make him roll over. Sometimes the kids kick in their sleep, and their blanket ends up on the floor. Pudding can be naughty too, waking up to chew on something in the middle of the night. Once she ate part of Beatrice's scarf, and Beatrice had to laugh even though she was sleepy. The hut is small, so there's no privacy, and everyone hears everyone else's noises, snores, mumbles, even the occasional giggle from Ben dreaming of goats. But Beatrice doesn't mind. The crowding is part of what makes the hut feel alive, like a heartbeat that never stops. The warmth of the hut is a big reason Beatrice loves sleeping so close. In the winter, when the air is icy and the wind howls, the family piles even closer. Leela and Ben often sneak into their parents' bed, their cold toes pressing against Beatrice's legs. Tom pulls the blanket tight, and they all snuggle like a litter of puppies. Pudding moves closer to the fire pit, her furry body adding to the warmth. The hut feels like a cave, safe and toasty, no matter how cold it is outside. Even in summer, when the nights are milder, the closeness is comforting, like a hug that never ends. Beatrice feels the straw mattress shift as Tom moves, his arm settling heavier on her. She wiggles closer, feeling his warmth, and listens to his snores. They're soft again, like a breeze rustling leaves. She hears Leela sigh in her sleep, a tiny sound that makes Beatrice's heart swell. Ben mutters something about a dragon, and she smiles, imagining his dreams. Pudding huffs, her hooves tapping the floor, and Beatrice wonders what the goat is chasing in her sleep. The sounds blend together, a cozy hum that lulls her towards sleep. The hut's darkness is soft, not scary. The faint glow from the coals paints shadows on the walls, but they're friendly shadows like old friends. Beatrice believes in curses, but tonight they seem far away. With Tom, Leela, Ben, and Pudding so close, no witch or fairy could get in. The door is latched, and Beatrice sprinkled salt by the threshold earlier, an old trick to keep bad magic out. Her prayer before bed asked for safety, and she trusts it worked. The crowded hut is her fortress, and her family is her army, keeping the dark at bay. He pulls the blanket higher, feeling its scratchy warmth. The straw rustles, and a faint whiff of lavender from the herbs floats up. Her body sinks deeper, the lumps in the mattress feeling softer now. Tom's arm is heavy, but she loves it, like a weight that says, you're safe. The kids' breaths are steady, a rhythm that matches her own. Pudding's huffs are like a funny drumbeat, keeping time with the night. Beatrice sighs a cozy sound, and her eyes close. The hut is crowded, but it's warm, and no one's alone. Sleep is coming, soft and sure, like a gentle wave. The closeness makes Beatrice think of her own childhood, when she slept in a hut like this with her parents and brothers. They were crowded too, and she remembers her dad's snores and her mom's soft hums. It felt safe then, just like it does now. She wants Leela and Ben to feel that safety, to know their family is always close. Even Pudding, with her silly huffs, is part of that love. The hut is small, but it's big enough for all of them, and that's what matters. Sometimes the crowding makes funny moments. One night, Ben rolled over and fell off the mattress, landing with a thump. He giggled, half asleep, and Beatrice had to pull him back, laughing quietly. Another time, Pudding got up and tried to sleep on the kids' bed, her hooves poking Leela. Leela squealed, and everyone woke up, chuckling in the dark. These moments are part of the hut's charm, like stories they'll tell again and again. Beatrice loves the laughter, even if it interrupts her sleep. The hut's warmth is a gift, especially when the wind howls outside. Beatrice can hear it now, a low whistle through the cracks in the walls. It's cold out there, but inside it's toasty thanks to the fire, the blankets, and the family's closeness. Tom's body is like a furnace, and the kids are little heaters, their breaths warm against the air. Pudding's furry body by the door blocks drafts, like a guard keeping the cold away. Beatrice feels like she's in a warm bubble, protected from the night. She thinks about the curses she's heard about, witches stealing breath, fairies playing tricks. Old Meg, her neighbor, told a story about sour milk being a curse, and it made Beatrice nervous. But lying here with Tom's arm over her, the kids' clothes, and Pudding huffing, she feels brave. No curse could get through this love, she thinks. The hut is too full of warmth and family for anything bad to sneak in. She said her prayer, sprinkled the salt, and trusts her bed to keep her safe. The straw mattress rustles as she shifts, finding a better spot. Tom's snores pause, then start again, and she smiles. Leela's breath hitches like she's dreaming, and Ben mumbles about a chicken. Pudding huffs louder, her hooves scraping, and Beatrice imagines her chasing a butterfly in her dreams. The sounds are a cozy blanket wrapping her up. The bed smells of straw, herbs, and the faint smoke of the fire, a smell that says, this is home. Her body is heavy, her eyes closing, and sleep is near. Beatrice loves this crowded hut with everyone so close. It's not perfect, sometimes it's too warm or someone steals the blanket, but it's hers and it's full of love. Tom's arm, the kids' breaths, Pudding's huffs, they're all part of the night's magic, making her feel safe and never alone. The dark outside can't touch her here, not with her family beside her. She sinks deeper into the bed, the straw whispering, and lets sleep come warm and gentle like a hug from everyone she loves. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's straw bed. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're curled up in her crowded hut. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her night. For now, rest and let the warmth of her family wrap you up like a big, cozy hug. It's deep in the night in Beatrice's little village, and the world outside is dark and peaceful. The stars shine like tiny sparkles in the sky, and the mud huts with straw roofs are quiet and snug. Inside Beatrice's wattle and daub hut, she's lying in her straw bed ready to sleep. This story is about the sound she hears at night, all the little noises that make the village feel alive. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so it's simple to understand. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's listen to the sounds of night with Beatrice. The night is never completely silent. It hums with life like a soft song that never stops. Beatrice lies in her bed, her eyes half closed, listening to the world around her. Her straw mattress rustles a little when she moves, and the wool blanket scratches as she pulls it up to her chin. The hut is warm and crowded, with her husband Tom snoring softly beside her and her kids Leela and Ben breathing nearby. Pudding the goat is by the door, huffing in her dreams. But it's the sounds outside and around the hut that catch Beatrice's attention, blending into a gentle lullaby that makes her sleepy. One of the loudest sounds is the wind. It blows through the village, rattling the thatch roof above Beatrice's head. The roof is made of straw tied in big bundles, and when the wind pushes against it, it makes a shaky, rustling noise like someone shaking a big paper bag. The sound is soft but steady, like a whisper that goes on and on. Sometimes the wind gets stronger and the rattling gets louder, making the straw creak and shift. Beatrice listens, her eyes fluttering, and imagines the wind dancing over the village, tickling the roofs and trees. The sound is familiar, like a friend who visits every night, and it makes her feel cozy, like the hut is holding her tight. Inside the hut, Pudding the goat is making her own noises. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to chew on everything. At night, she sleeps on a pile of straw by the door, but she's not still. She shifts in her sleep, her hooves tapping the dirt floor, making little clicks and scrapes. The taps are soft, like someone dropping pebbles, but they stand out in the quiet hut. Sometimes Pudding huffs, a funny snorting sound, like she's dreaming of chasing a butterfly or eating a tasty rope. Beatrice hears the taps and huffs, and they make her smile in the dark. Pudding's noises are silly, like a little drum beat that adds to the night's song. Outside, far away, an owl hoots low and slow. The sound is deep, like a soft hoo-hoo that floats through the air. It's not loud, but it carries, reaching Beatrice's ears through the cracks in the hut's walls. The owl lives in the forest near the village, and its hoot is like a secret message saying, "The night is here." Beatrice loves the owl's call. It's calm and steady, like a heartbeat. She imagines the owl perched on a tree, its big eyes watching the world. The hoot comes again, slow and quiet, and it makes her eyelids heavier, like the owl is singing her to sleep. These sounds, the wind, Pudding's hooves, the owl's hoot, mix together, blending into a lullaby. It's not a song with words, but a soft hum of noises that wrap Beatrice in the village's quiet rhythm. She listens, her body sinking deeper into the straw bed, and feels like the night is holding her gently. The sounds are familiar, part of her life, and they make her feel safe, even when she thinks about spooky things like curses or witches. Sleep creeps closer, soft as a breeze, and Beatrice lets it come, carried by the night's gentle music. Inside the hut, there are more sounds. Tom's snores are soft and rumbly, like a faraway storm. They come and go, sometimes pausing when he shifts, then starting again. Beatrice likes the snores. They mean Tom is close, his arm heavy over her side, keeping her warm. Leela and Ben, sleeping nearby, add their own noises. Their breaths are steady, little puffs of air that sound like whispers. Sometimes Leela sighs, a tiny sound, or Ben mumbles, saying something silly like "goat run." Beatrice hears them and feels her heart glow, knowing her kids are safe and dreaming. The fire pit in the hut is almost out, but the coals still crackle faintly like tiny pops. The sound is so soft you might miss it, but Beatrice hears it like a little spark in the dark. The coals glow red, casting a faint light that dances on the walls. The crackle is comforting, a reminder that the fire kept them warm all day and will be ready to light again in the morning. Beatrice listens, her eyes half closed, and the pop of the coals feels like a promise that tomorrow will come. Outside, the wind brings other noises. It rustles the trees around the village, making their leaves shake like a soft rattle. The sound is light, like someone brushing their hand through grass, and it mixes with the roof's rattle. Sometimes a branch creaks, a low groan that sounds like the forest is stretching. Beatrice imagines the trees talking to each other, telling stories about the day. The rustle and creak are steady, part of the night's hum, and they make her feel like the village is alive, even when everyone's asleep. There's a dog in the village that barks sometimes, its sharp yap cutting through the quiet. Tonight it barks once far away, maybe at a fox or a shadow. The sound is quick, then gone, and Beatrice doesn't mind. The dog is like a guard, watching over the village, and its bark makes her feel safer. She wonders what it saw, but her mind is too sleepy to care. The bark fades, and the wind's rustle takes over again, soothing her back into the lullaby. A cow moos in the distance, a low, sleepy sound. The cows sleep in a pen near the fields, and sometimes one wakes up calling out like it's saying, "I'm here." The moo is soft, blending with the owl's hoot and the wind's rattle. Beatrice pictures the cow, its big eyes blinking in the dark, and smiles. The village animals are part of the night, adding their voices to the song. She hears a chicken cluck faintly, maybe one of hers, settling back to sleep. The cluck is quick like a hiccup, and it makes her think of her hens, cozy in their pen. The hut itself makes sounds. The mud walls are sturdy, but the wooden shutters creak when the wind pushes them. The creak is high and squeaky, like a mouse running across the floor. Beatrice hears it and knows it's just the hut talking, settling down for the night. The door, latched tight, rattles a little when a strong gust hits, but it holds firm. She sprinkled salt by the door earlier, an old trick to keep curses away, and the latch makes her feel safe. The creaks and rattles are part of the hut's voice, like it's singing along with the night. Sometimes Beatrice hears a strange noise, a snap in the forest or a rustle too loud for the wind. Her heart jumps and she thinks of the old stories about witches or fairies. She believes in those things, and a loud snap might mean something spooky is near. But then she hears Tom's snores, Leela's breath, Pudding's huff, and the fear fades. The hut is full of her family and no curse could get past them. She listens to the night's lullaby, and the strange noise becomes just another sound, part of the village's rhythm. The wind rattles the roof again, and Beatrice imagines it carrying the owl's hoot across the fields. She pictures the village, all the huts dark and quiet, the animals sleeping, the trees swaying. The sounds tie it all together like a big, cozy blanket over the world. Her eyes are heavy now, barely open, and the noises blur into one soft hum. The wind, Pudding's hooves, the owl, Tom's snores, the kids' breaths, the fires crackle. They're a song that says, "Rest now, you're safe." Beatrice shifts in her bed, the straw rustling under her. The sound is familiar, like the night's other noises, and it makes her smile. She pulls the blanket tighter, feeling its scratchy warmth. Tom's arm is heavy on her side, and his snores are steady like a drum. Leela sighs and Ben mumbles something about a chicken. Pudding huffs, her hooves tapping, and the owl hoots again, far away. The hut creaks, the wind rattles, and the fire pops. Beatrice listens, her mind drifting like a leaf on a stream, and sleep creeps closer, gentle as a breeze. The sounds are her village's heartbeat, alive even in the dark. They tell her the world is still there, even when she's asleep. The wind means the air is moving, keeping the village fresh. Pudding's huffs mean her goat is safe, dreaming by the door. The owl's hoot means the forest is watching, calm and quiet. Tom's snores and the kids' breaths mean her family is close, their love stronger than any curse. The fire's crackle means warmth, and the hut's creaks mean home. Beatrice feels wrapped in these sounds, like they're a hug from the night itself. Sometimes the sounds change. The wind might slow, making the roofs rattle softer like a whisper. Pudding might wake up, her hooves tapping louder as she shifts, then settle back with a big huff. The owl might stop hooting, and a cricket starts chirping instead, a tiny high sound like a bell. Beatrice hears these changes, even half asleep, and they pull her deeper into the lullaby. She doesn't need to think about them, they're just there, part of the night's magic. The hut's crowded warmth helps the sounds feel even cozier. Tom's body is warm beside her, his snores a steady hum. Leela and Ben are close, their breaths like a soft wind. Pudding's furry presence by the door blocks drafts, her huffs adding to the song. The straw bed smells of earth and herbs, and the wool blanket traps the heat, making Beatrice feel like she's in a warm nest. The sounds wrap around this warmth, tying it all together like a ribbon on a gift. Beatrice thinks about the day, milking Pudding, working in the fields, cooking pottage. Her body is tired, her back sore, her hands gritty. But the night sounds soothe her like a gentle hand smoothing away the aches. The winds rattle, Pudding's taps, the owl's hoot, they're a promise that the world keeps going even when she's asleep. She feels safe even with stories of curses in her mind. The village's rhythm is stronger than any witch, and her family's closeness is her shield. She listens as the wind rattles the roof again, softer now like it's tired too. Pudding huffs, her hooves still, and the owl hoots far and faint. Tom's snores blend with Leela's sigh, and Ben's mumble fades. The fire pops, the hut creaks, and the trees rustle outside. Beatrice's eyes close fully, her body heavy in the straw bed. The sounds are a lullaby, wrapping her in the village's quiet rhythm, and sleep comes, gentle as a breeze, carrying her away. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're hearing Beatrice's night sounds. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're lying in her straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her night. For now, rest and let the sounds of her village wrap you up like a warm, gentle lullaby. It's the middle of the night in Beatrice's tiny village, and everything is dark and quiet. The stars are twinkling outside, and the mud huts with straw roofs are still, like they're sleeping too. Inside Beatrice's wattle and daub hut, she wakes up in the dark. This isn't strange for her, she's used to waking up for a little while at night, something called segmented sleep. It's like her body knows to take a break before sleeping again. This story is about that midnight moment, what Beatrice does, and how she feels. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so anyone can understand it. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's join Beatrice in her quiet midnight break. Beatrice opens her eyes, and the hut is dark, like someone pulled a big blanket over the world. The fire pit in the middle of the room is down to embers, glowing red like tiny stars. They give just enough light to see fuzzy shapes, the walls, the door, her family sleeping nearby. The air is cool, not cold, but chilly enough to make her pull her wool blanket closer. The blanket is scratchy but warm, and it feels good against her skin. She lies still, her body heavy in the straw mattress, and listens to the night. Her heart beats slow, and her mind is calm, like a pond with no ripples. Segmented sleep is something Beatrice has always done. It means she sleeps in two parts, first a long sleep after sunset, then a wake up in the middle of the night, and then another sleep until morning. It's normal for her, like eating breakfast or milking her goat pudding. When she wakes up, she doesn't feel scared or worried. It's just her body saying, time for a little break. She doesn't get out of bed or light a candle. She just lies there, cozy and quiet, letting her thoughts wander like clouds in the sky. The straw mattress rustles a little as she shifts, making a soft, crunchy sound like stepping on dry leaves. The mattress is lumpy, stuffed with straw and dried herbs like lavender and rosemary to keep fleas away. The herbs smell sweet, a gentle whiff that mixes with the earthy smell of the straw and the smoky air from the fire pit. Beatrice loves the smell. It's like her hut is hugging her, saying, "You're home." The lumps in the mattress press into her back, but she's used to them and they don't bother her. She wiggles a bit to find a comfy spot, and the rustling stops, leaving the hut quiet again. Next to her, her husband, Tom, is sleeping. His snores are soft like a low hum, and they come and go like waves. His big arm is flung over her side, heavy and warm, making her feel safe. Beatrice listens to his snores and smiles in the dark. They're a familiar sound, like a song she's heard forever. Sometimes she thinks about waking him to talk, but he's so peaceful she doesn't want to disturb him. Instead, she lies still, feeling his warmth, and lets her mind think about small things. Her thoughts are simple, not big or heavy. She thinks about tomorrow's bread, how she'll mix the flour and knead the dough. She pictures the loaf coming out of the oven warm and crusty, and how Ben will try to steal a piece before it's cool. The thought makes her smile because Ben loves bread and his sneaky grin is so cute. She thinks about Leela's laughter, how it sounds like little bells when she plays with her friends. Leela laughed today when Pudding the goat tried to eat a stick, and Beatrice can still hear that giggle in her mind. These thoughts are soft, like feathers, floating through her head as she lies in the dark. The hut is quiet but not silent. Beatrice hears Pudding by the door, huffing in her dreams. Pudding is white with black spots and loves to chew on everything. Her huffs are funny, like little snorts, and sometimes her hooves tap the dirt floor, making tiny clicks. Beatrice imagines Pudding dreaming of chasing a butterfly or eating her favorite rope. The sound makes her heart feel warm because Pudding is part of the family, even if she's a bit naughty. Leela and Ben are sleeping nearby on their own straw mattress. Their breaths are soft, like whispers, steady and slow. Beatrice listens, counting their breaths without thinking, like a lullaby. Sometimes Leela sighs a tiny sound, or Ben mumbles something silly like "goat run fast." Beatrice loves these noises. They mean her kids are safe and dreaming. She thinks about how Ben got muddy today, running through a puddle, and how Leela braided a flower into her hair. The thoughts make her feel cozy, like she's wrapping her kids in a hug, even though they're asleep. The air in the hut is cool, and Beatrice pulls the blanket higher, tucking it under her chin. The wool scratches a little, but it's so warm she doesn't care. The cool air brushes her face like a soft hand, and she breathes it in, smelling the straw, herbs, and faint smoke. The embers in the fire pit crackle, a tiny pop now and then like a spark saying, "I'm still here." The glow is weak, but it's enough to make the hut feel alive, like it's breathing with her family. Outside, the night is full of sounds, and Beatrice hears them through the cracks in the mud walls. The wind rattles the straw roof, a soft, shaky sound like someone rustling paper. It's gentle tonight, not loud, and it makes the hut feel snug, like it's wrapped in a big hug. An owl hoots far away, low and slow, like a deep hoo-hoo. The sound floats over the village, calm and steady, and Beatrice imagines the owl sitting in a tree, watching the stars. The hoot is like a friend's voice, saying, "Sleep tight." Sometimes a dog barks in the village, a quick yap that cuts through the quiet. It's not close, maybe from a hut across the fields, and it stops fast. Beatrice wonders if the dog saw a fox or just barked at a shadow. The sound doesn't scare her, it's just part of the night, like the wind or the owl. She believes in old stories about curses and witches, and a bark could mean something spooky. But with Tom, Leela, Ben, and Pudding so close, she feels safe. The hut is her fortress, and no curse can get in. Beatrice thinks about whispering to Tom. She likes talking to him at night, sharing little thoughts or stories. She turns her head, feeling his beard tickle her cheek, and whispers, "Tom, you awake?" Her voice is soft like a feather, so she doesn't wake the kids. Tom mumbles back, his words blurry with sleep. "MMMB what?" he says, his eyes still closed. Beatrice smiles because his mumbly voice is funny. "Just thinking about bread," she whispers. Tom grunts a sleepy sound and mutters, "Good bread, sleep now." He pulls her closer, his arm tightening, and his snores start again. She giggles quietly, her breath puffing in the cool air. Talking to Tom, even for a moment, makes her feel warm inside, like they're sharing a secret. She doesn't need a long talk, his mumble is enough. It's like a little hug saying, "I'm here and I love you." Beatrice settles back, the straw rustling, and lets her thoughts drift again. She thinks about the village, how everyone's asleep in their huts, cozy like her. She thinks about old Meg, who told a story about a curse souring milk, but it seems far away now, not scary in the warm hut. The night holds her softly, like a big, gentle hand. There's no rush to do anything. Beatrice doesn't need to get up or work. This midnight break is her time to rest, think, and feel safe. Her body is tired from the day, milking pudding, fetching water, working in the fields. But the tiredness is good, like a heavy blanket that says, you did enough. Her back aches a little and her hands are still gritty from dirt, but the straw bed soothes her, molding to her body like a hug. She listens to the sounds again, letting them wrap around her. The wind rattles the roof, soft and steady. Pudding huffs, her hooves tapping once, then still. The owl hoots far and faint, like a whisper from the forest. Tom's snores hum, Leela's breath sighs, Ben's mumble fades. The fire pops and the hut creaks as the wind pushes the shutters. These noises are the night's lullaby, a song that says, sleep is coming. Beatrice feels it, like a gentle wave, pulling her back to sleep. Her thoughts wander to tomorrow. She'll wake when the rooster crows, light the fire, and feed the chickens. She'll milk Pudding, who'll probably try to eat her apron again. She'll fetch water from the well, waving to neighbors like young Sarah. She'll make pottage for lunch, and the kids will spill some, making her laugh. These thoughts aren't heavy, they're light, like bubbles floating through her mind. She knows tomorrow will be like today, full of work and love, and that's okay. It's her life, and she likes it. Beatrice thinks about her kids again, how Leela's flower looks so pretty in her hair. She thinks about Ben's muddy knees and how he hugged her tight before bed. She thinks about Tom, his big laugh, and the way he carries Ben on his shoulders. These thoughts make her heart feel full, like a basket overflowing with apples. She's happy even in the dark because her family is close. The hut is small, but it's big enough for all their love, and that's what matters. The cool air brushes her face again, and she pulls the blanket tighter. The wool scratches, but it's warm, and she snuggles into it, feeling Tom's arm heavy on her side. The straw mattress rustles as she shifts, and a faint smell of lavender floats up from the herbs. The embers glow, casting soft shadows on the walls like friendly ghosts dancing. Beatrice listens to Pudding's huff, Tom's snore, the kids' breaths, and the wind's rattle. They blend together, a cozy hum that makes her eyes heavier. She thinks about the stories of curses, like witches sneaking in or fairies stealing things. They scare her sometimes, especially when old Meg talks about them. But tonight, in her crowded hut, they don't feel real. Tom's snores are stronger than any witch, and Pudding's huffs are braver than any fairy. Leela and Ben's breaths are like a magic spell, keeping the hut safe. Beatrice said her prayer before bed and sprinkled salt by the door, old tricks to keep curses away. She trusts them and she trusts her family, so the night feels kind, not spooky. The owl hoots again, soft and far, like it's saying good night. The wind slows, making the roofs rattle quieter like a whisper. Pudding huffs, her hooves still, and the fire's pop is faint. Beatrice feels her body sink deeper into the bed, the straw molding to her. Her thoughts are slowing, like a stream turning into a puddle. She thinks of bread, laughter, and her family's warmth, but the thoughts are fuzzy now, blending with the night's sounds. She whispers one more thing to Tom, so soft it's barely a sound. Love you, she says, and he mumbles, love B. His arm pulls her closer and she smiles, her crooked smile in the dark. The moment is small, but it's perfect, like a star in her heart. She doesn't need anything else, just this hut, this family, this night. The sounds of the night wrap around her again. The wind, Pudding, the owl, Tom, Leela, Ben, the fire, the hut. They're a lullaby, gentle and steady, pulling her back to sleep. Her eyes close fully, her breath slows, and her body relaxes, heavy and warm. The night holds her softly, like a mother rocking a baby, and sleep comes, gentle as a breeze. Beatrice drifts away, carried by the quiet rhythm of her village, safe in her crowded, cozy hut. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's lavender herbs. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're lying in her straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her morning. For now, rest and let the night's lullaby wrap you up like a warm, gentle hug. It's a clear, quiet night in Beatrice's tiny village, and the world outside her wattle and daub hut is dark and peaceful. The air is cool, and the mud huts with straw roofs stand still under a big, starry sky. Inside her small hut, Beatrice is ready for sleep, but on nights like this, she likes to peek at the stars before closing her eyes. This story is about those clear nights, how Beatrice looks at the sky and what it means to her. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so anyone can understand it. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's join Beatrice as she sleeps with the sky above her. Beatrice lies in her straw bed, the mattress lumpy but familiar under her tired body. The straw is stuffed with dried herbs like lavender and rosemary, giving off a sweet, calming smell that mixes with the earthy scent of the hut. Her wool blanket is scratchy but warm, pulled up to her chin to keep out the cool night air. Her husband, Tom, is beside her, snoring softly, his big arm resting over her side. Her kids, Leela and Ben, are curled up nearby on their own straw mattress, their breaths slow and steady. Pudding the goat sleeps by the door, huffing in her dreams, her hooves tapping the dirt floor now and then. The hut is crowded and warm, but Beatrice's mind is on the sky tonight. On clear nights when the clouds are gone, Beatrice likes to peek through a crack in the wooden shutters. The shutters are old, with gaps where the wood doesn't fit tight, and one crack is just big enough to see a slice of the sky. She shifts in bed, careful not to wake Tom, and leans toward the wall. The straw mattress rustles, a soft crunch like stepping on dry leaves, and she moves slowly so the lumps don't poke her. She presses her face close to the shutter, her cheek brushing the rough wood, and looks through the crack. Outside, the sky is dark like a deep blue blanket, and stars glitter like scattered coins, twinkling and bright. The stars are so pretty, Beatrice thinks, like little lights someone sprinkled across the sky. They sparkle, some bright and some faint, and they seem to go on forever. She can see only a few through the crack, but it's enough to make her heart feel big and quiet. The stars look alive, like they're winking at her, saying, "We see you, Beatrice." She stares, her eyes wide, feeling a soft wonder, like when she was a kid and her mom pointed out the stars. The night is calm, and the stars make it feel special, like a secret just for her. Peasants like Beatrice believe the sky is more than just a pretty picture. They think it's alive, watching them, full of magic and meaning. Beatrice was taught that the stars are angels, little bits of light sent by God to guard the world. Each star is like an angel's eye, keeping an eye on the village, making sure everyone is safe. She likes this idea. It makes the sky feel friendly, like a big protector. When she looks at the stars, she feels like they're looking back, caring about her and her family. It's a cozy thought, like knowing someone strong is watching over you. Another story says the stars are old souls, people who lived long ago and now shine in the sky. Beatrice's grandma told her this, saying that when good people die, they become stars to light the way for those still here. Beatrice thinks about her grandma sometimes when she sees the stars, wondering if one of them is her, smiling down. The idea makes her feel warm, like her grandma is still close, even though she's gone. She imagines other souls up there, old friends, kind neighbors, maybe even a funny goat like Pudding someday. The stars feel like family, a big, shiny family in the sky. Looking at the stars, Beatrice feels small but safe. The sky is so big, stretching out forever, and she's just one person in a tiny hut. But the stars don't make her feel lost, they make her feel held, like the sky is a giant hug. She knows the angels or souls are watching, and her family is close inside the hut. Tom's snores, Leela and Ben's breaths, Pudding's huffs, they're all there, keeping her grounded. The sky's vastness is like a blanket, covering her with its beauty, and she loves being part of it, even if she's small. The darkness of the night pulls her under, gentle and soft, like sinking into warm water. Beatrice's eyes are heavy, and the stars blur as she blinks slowly. She could stay awake, staring at the sky, but her body is tired from the day, milking Pudding, fetching water, working in the fields. The stars are a gift, a little moment of wonder before sleep takes over. She feels the straw mattress under her, the wool blanket over her, and the cool air on her face. The night is kind, and sleep is its gift, waiting to wrap her up. She pulls back from the shutter, the wood creaking a little, and settles into her bed. The straw rustles again, and she wiggles to find a comfy spot among the lumps. Tom's arm is warm, his snores steady, like a low hum. She hears Leela sigh in her sleep, a tiny sound, and Ben mumble something about a chicken. Pudding huffs by the door, her hooves tapping like she's dreaming of running. The hut is full of these soft noises, mixing with the memory of the stars. Beatrice closes her eyes, picturing the glittering coins in the sky, and feels her mind drift. The stars make her think about her life. She's a peasant, working hard every day to grow food, care for her animals, and love her family. Her life is simple, not like a king's or a merchant, but it's good. The stars don't care if she's rich or poor, they shine for everyone, and that makes her feel special. She thinks about tomorrow, how she'll wake up and do her chores again. She'll see the sky in the morning, maybe pink and gold, and it'll be beautiful, just like the stars. The thought is calming, like a promise that life will keep going, steady and sure. Beatrice believes in old stories, like curses and witches, and sometimes they scare her. But the stars push those fears away. If angels or souls are up there, they're stronger than any witch, she thinks. She said her prayer before bed, asking for safety, and sprinkled salt by the door to keep bad magic out. With the stars watching, her family close, and her prayers said, the hut feels like a safe little world. The darkness isn't spooky, it's soft, like a big starry blanket wrapping her up. Wind rattles the straw roof, a gentle sound like someone shaking a bag of leaves. It's softer tonight, not loud, and it blends with the other noises in the hut. The fire pit's embers crackle, a faint pop, and the glow lights up the walls with dancing shadows. Beatrice hears Pudding huff again, her hooves still, and imagines the goat dreaming of eating her apron. Tom's snores hum, Leela's breath is steady, and Ben mutters something silly. An owl hoots outside, low and slow, like a friend saying, good night. These sounds are the night's lullaby, mixing with the stars in Beatrice's mind, pulling her closer to sleep. She thinks about her kids, how Leela laughed today when Pudding tripped over a stick, and how Ben tried to catch a butterfly. She thinks about Tom, his big laugh, and the way he carries Leela on his shoulders. These thoughts are warm, like the embers in the fire pit, and they make her heart feel full. The stars are like her family, she thinks, always there, shining even when she can't see them. She feels small under the big sky, but safe with her family close, like the stars are guarding them all. The cool air slips through the crack in the shutter, brushing her face like a soft hand. She pulls the blanket tighter, feeling its scratchy warmth. The straw mattress smells of herbs, a sweet puff of lavender when she moves. Tom's arm is heavy, his snores a cozy rhythm. The kids' breaths are like a gentle wind, and Pudding's huffs are a funny beat. The night sounds and the stars' glitter blend together, wrapping Beatrice in a quiet, sleepy hug. Her eyes are closed now, her body sinking deeper into the bed, and sleep is close, like a gentle wave. Beatrice thinks one last time about the stars, how they look like coins scattered by a giant. She imagines them watching her, angels or souls, keeping the village safe. She feels small but loved, like the sky is her blanket and the stars are its stitches. The darkness pulls her under soft and sure, and she lets it take her. Sleep is the sky's gift, a warm, quiet place where she can rest. Her breath slows, matching the rhythm of Tom's snores, and the hut fades away, leaving only the stars in her dreams. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's lavender herbs. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're lying under her starry sky. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her morning. For now, rest and let the stars wrap you up like a big, gentle blanket. It's evening in Beatrice's little village, and the sun is setting, painting the sky with pink and gold. The mud huts with straw roofs look cozy as the air gets cooler. Inside Beatrice's wattle and daub hut, it's time for supper, the last meal of the day before everyone goes to sleep. This story is about what they eat, how it feels, and how it helps them rest. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so anyone can understand it. It's long and warm, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's join Beatrice and her family as they eat their supper. The hut is small, just one room with a dirt floor and a fire pit in the middle. The fire is burning low, with logs crackling and sending up little sparks. The air smells like smoke and food, a cozy mix that makes the hut feel like home. Beatrice is sitting by the fire, stirring a big pot of pottage, a warm stew that's their supper tonight. Pottage is simple, made with things they grow or have, like barley, onions, and herbs. It's not fancy, but it's thick and hearty, the kind of food that sticks to your ribs and makes you feel full. Beatrice's family is around her, ready to eat. Her husband Tom is back from the fields, his hands dusty and his beard messy. He's strong and smells like hay, and he's hungry after a long day. Their kids, Leela and Ben, are sitting on the floor, their faces red from playing outside. Leela is 7 with messy hair and a giggle like bells. Ben is 5 with muddy knees and a big grin. Pudding, their goat, is by the door, chewing on some straw, her black and white fur glowing in the firelight. Everyone's together, and the hut feels warm and happy. Supper is pottage tonight, like most nights. Beatrice makes it in a big clay pot that hangs over the fire. She started it earlier, chopping onions with a small knife, her eyes watering from the sting. She added barley, a grain that grows in their fields, and some herbs from her garden like thyme and parsley. The onions give the pottage a sweet, soft taste. The barley makes it thick, and the herbs add a fresh, green flavor. She stirred it with a wooden spoon, letting it bubble and cook until it was just right. Now it's ready, steaming hot and smelling so good it makes everyone's tummy rumble. Beatrice eats slowly, savoring each bite. She scoops the pottage into a wooden bowl using a big spoon carved by Tom. The stew is warm, almost too hot, so she blows on it, her breath making little ripples. When she takes a bite, the pottage is thick and chewy, with soft bits of onion and barley sticking to her teeth. The herbs taste fresh, like a walk in the garden, and the warmth spreads from her mouth to her belly. It's not sweet or spicy, just hearty, like a hug in a bowl. She chews slowly, letting the flavors sit on her tongue, and feels her body relax with every bite. The kids are eating too, dipping bread into the pot. The bread is hard, baked yesterday and a little stale, but it's perfect for soaking up the pottage. Leela tears off a chunk, her small hands pulling at the crust, and dips it into the pot, getting it all soggy. She pops it in her mouth, giggling when some drips on her chin. "Messy girl," Beatrice says, smiling, and wipes Leela's face with her apron. Ben is even messier, dunking his bread so fast that pottage splashes on his tunic. He laughs, his mouth full, and Beatrice shakes her head, but her eyes are warm. The kids love pottage, and their happy noises make the meal feel like a party. Tom eats with a big spoon, scooping up big bites and chewing loudly. He's hungry, and the pottage fills him up fast. "Good stew, B," he says, his voice gruff but kind. Beatrice smiles her crooked smile and feels proud. She likes cooking for her family, seeing them enjoy what she made. Tom dips his bread too, tearing off huge pieces and soaking them in the pottage. He eats fast, but he savors it, nodding as he chews. The firelight makes his beard glow, and Beatrice thinks he looks happy, like a bear with a full belly. The pottage is thick, so it takes time to eat. Beatrice likes that it makes supper feel special, like they're all taking a moment to be together. The stew is hearty, sticking to her spoon and filling her mouth with warmth. Each bite makes her belly feel heavier, like it's saying, "You're full now, time to rest." The barley is soft but chewy, the onions melt in her mouth, and the herbs add a little zing that wakes up her taste buds. She eats another spoonful, blowing on it first, and feels the warmth spread to her chest, like a cozy fire inside her. The kids dip their bread again, making a game of it. Leela tries to get the soggiest piece, holding it up proudly before it falls apart. Ben copies her, but his bread drops into the pot, and he laughs so hard he almost falls over. "Silly Ben," Beatrice says, fishing out the bread with her spoon. She hands it back to him, and he eats it, grinning. The kids' laughter mixes with the crackle of the fire, making the hut feel alive. Beatrice loves these moments when her family is noisy and happy, sharing a simple meal. The meal makes Beatrice's eyelids droop, like they're getting heavy with sleep. The pottage is so warm and filling, it's like a lullaby for her body. Each bite makes her feel calmer, like her worries are melting away. She thinks about her day, milking pudding, fetching water, pulling weeds, and it feels far away now. The pottage is her reward, a soft, warm gift after all her work. She takes another slow bite, chewing carefully, and feels her shoulders relax, her arms get heavy, and her legs feel like they're sinking into the floor. Tom is slowing down too, his big bites getting smaller. He leans back against the wall, his bowl empty and sighs a happy sound. That hit the spot, he says, patting his belly. Beatrice nods, feeling the same. The pottage has filled her up, not just her stomach, but her heart. She looks at Leela and Ben, their faces smudged with pottage, and smiles. They're full too, and their eyes are getting sleepy, like little candles flickering out. The meal is doing its job, making everyone ready for bed. The bread is almost gone, just a few crusts left. Beatrice tears off a piece for herself, dipping it into the pot. The bread soaks up the pottage, turning soft and warm. She eats it, the crust chewy and the stew rich, and feels her belly get even fuller. The bread is simple, made from flour and water, but with the pottage it's perfect. She offers the last piece to Tom, but he shakes his head, full already. Leela grabs it instead, dunking it fast and giggling as it drips. Beatrice laughs, her voice soft, and the hut feels like a warm, happy bubble. The pottage pot is almost empty, just a little left at the bottom. Beatrice scoops out the last bit for herself, scraping the sides with her spoon. The final bite is thick with barley and herbs, and she eats it slowly, letting the warmth settle in her belly. She sets the bowl down, her hands resting in her lap, and feels her body get heavy like it's ready to melt. The meal has done its magic, filling her up and making her sleepy, like a soft path leading straight to her straw bed. Leela and Ben are yawning now, their mouths wide like little caves. Time for bed, Beatrice says, her voice gentle. They groan, but their eyes are droopy and they don't argue much. Tom stands, stretching his arms, and helps clean up. He carries the pot outside to dump the scraps, where Pudding tries to eat them, her tail flicking. Not for you, greedy, Tom says, laughing, and brings the pot back. Beatrice wipes the bowls with a cloth, her hands slow and tired. The fire is low, the embers glowing red, and the hut is getting darker, ready for sleep. The pottage has made everyone feel cozy, like they're wrapped in a warm hug. Beatrice's belly is full, and the warmth spreads to her arms, her legs, her heart. She thinks about how the barley came from their fields, the onions from her garden, the herbs from her careful picking. The meal is part of their life, grown from their work, and that makes it taste even better. She feels proud, knowing she fed her family with love and care, and now they're all ready to rest. The kids climb onto their straw mattress, pulling their blanket over them. Leela yawns again, her eyes half closed, and Ben mumbles something about bread. Beatrice tucks them in, smoothing the blanket and kissing their foreheads. Sleep tight, she whispers, and they smile, already drifting off. Tom sits by the fire, poking the embers to keep them alive for morning. Beatrice joins him for a moment, her body heavy, her eyelids drooping. The hut is quiet now, just the crackle of the fire and Pudding's soft huffs by the door. The full stomach is like a key, unlocking the door to sleep. Beatrice feels it, the way the pottage has settled in her belly, making her calm and sleepy. Her thoughts are soft, like clouds, drifting to tomorrow's chores, milking pudding, fetching water, maybe baking fresh bread. But those thoughts don't worry her. The pottage has made her feel safe, like everything is okay. She thinks about Leela's giggle, Ben's messy face, Tom's happy sigh, and her heart feels full, like a basket overflowing. The hut smells of pottage, smoke, and straw, a cozy mix that wraps around Beatrice like a blanket. She stands, her legs tired, and checks the door, making sure it's latched. She sprinkles a pinch of salt by the threshold, an old trick to keep curses away. She believes in stories about witches and bad magic, but tonight, with her belly full and her family close, she's not scared. The pottage has given her strength, and the hut is her safe place, warm and quiet. Beatrice climbs into her straw bed, the mattress rustling under her. The straw is lumpy, but she finds a comfy spot, the herbs inside smelling sweet. She pulls the wool blanket up, feeling its scratchy warmth, and sighs a cozy sound. Tom joins her, his big body making the bed creak. He snores softly, his arm over her side, and she smiles in the dark. The kids are asleep, their breath steady, and Pudding huffs by the door. The fire's embers glow, and the night is calm, ready to carry them to sleep. The pottage has done its job, filling their bellies and making their eyelids heavy. Beatrice feels it, the soft path to sleep, like a warm road leading to her dreams. Her body is tired, her heart is happy, and the hut is full of love. The meal was simple, but it was enough, and now sleep is coming, gentle and sure. She closes her eyes, the taste of pottage still on her tongue, and lets the night take her away, cozy and full. Now let's take a deep breath. Inhale like you're smelling Beatrice's warm pottage. Exhale like you're blowing out a candle. Feel your body relax like you're sinking into her straw bed. You're safe, you're cozy, and you're part of this story. We'll keep going later with more about Beatrice and her morning. For now, rest and let the warmth of her supper wrap you up like a big, hearty hug. It's bedtime in Beatrice's little village, and the evening air is cool and quiet. The mud huts with straw roofs stand snug under a dark sky sprinkled with stars. Inside Beatrice's wattle and daub hut, the day is winding down, and it's time to get ready for sleep. This story is about how Beatrice banks the fire, what that means, and how it helps her family rest. It's told with super easy words, like a story for 4th or 5th graders, so anyone can understand it. It's long and cozy, perfect for relaxing or even falling asleep. So grab your blanket, get comfy, and let's join Beatrice as the fire's final flicker says goodnight. The hut is small, just one room with a dirt floor and a fire pit in the middle. The fire pit is where Beatrice cooks, warms the hut, and keeps her family cozy. All day, the fire burns with logs, crackling and sending up sparks. But now, as the sun has set and supper is done, it's time to put the fire to sleep too. Beatrice kneels by the fire pit, her knees on the dirt floor, and starts to bank the fire. Banking the fire means piling ashes over the glowing coals to keep them alive but quiet, so they'll be ready to light again in the morning. It's a special job, like tucking the fire in for the night. Beatrice uses a wooden stick to push the ashes around. The ashes are gray and soft, like fluffy dust, and they cover the red-hot coals like a blanket. The coals are small but warm, glowing like little stars in the fire pit. As she piles the ashes, the glow fades and the fire's light gets dimmer. The flames are gone now, and the coals are hidden, but Beatrice knows they're still there, sleeping under the ashes. She moves carefully, her hands steady, making sure the ashes are spread just right. If she does it wrong, the coals might go out, and starting a new fire in the morning would be hard. The room grows dim as the fire's glow fades. The hut was bright with firelight before, making shadows dance on the mud walls. Now with the coals banked, the light is soft, like a candle about to go out. The dimness makes the hut feel smaller, cozier, like it's wrapping everyone in a warm hug. Beatrice likes this feeling. It's like the hut is saying, time to rest. The air is still warm from the fire, but it's getting cooler, and she pulls her apron tighter around her, feeling the night settle in. Banking the fire is a signal that the day is done. All the chores, milking, putting the goat, fetching water, cooking pottage, and working in the fields are finished. The fire's final flicker is like a whispered goodnight, telling Beatrice and her family that it's time to sleep. She looks at the fire pit, the ashes smooth and quiet, and feels calm. The day was long and busy, but now it's over and the hut is ready for the night. The dim light and the fading glow make her eyelids heavy, like they're ready to close. Her kids, Leela and Ben, are nearby, sitting on the floor by their straw mattress. Leela is 7 with messy hair and a sleepy smile. Ben is 5 with muddy hands and a big yawn. The dimming fire makes them yawn even more, their mouths wide like little caves. Bedtime, Beatrice says, her voice soft but firm. Leela nods, rubbing her eyes, and Ben mumbles, okay mama. They're tired from playing all day, running in the fields, chasing pudding, and helping with small chores. The fire's fading light is like a signal to them too, saying, day is done, sleep now. Pudding the goat is by the door, settling down on her pile of straw. She's white with black spots and loves to chew on everything, but now she's calm, her eyes half closed. The dim hut makes her quiet, and she huffs softly like a sigh as she curls up. Her hooves tap the dirt floor once, then stop, and Beatrice smiles. Pudding is part of the family, and her settling down makes the hut feel even cozier. The goat's huffs are like a little song, adding to the night's peaceful hum. Beatrice's husband, Tom, is sitting by the wall, his big hands resting on his knees. He's strong from working in the fields, with a bushy beard that glows in the faint light. He watches Beatrice bank the fire, his eyes soft. Good job, B, he says, his voice low and warm. Beatrice smiles, her crooked smile, feeling proud. Tom is tired too, his shoulders slumped after plowing and planting. The fire's final flicker makes him yawn, and he stretches, his arms reaching high. The dim light wraps around him, like it's telling him to rest too. The hut feels smaller now, not because it's shrinking, but because the darkness pulls everyone closer. The mud walls seem to hug the family, and the straw roof above is like a cozy lid. The fire pit with its banked coals is the heart of the hut, even when it's quiet. Beatrice looks around, seeing her family in the dim light, Tom's sleepy face, Leela and Ben's yawns, Pudding's curled up body. The hut is crowded, but it's warm, and that makes it perfect for sleeping. Fire's last flicker is gone now, and the hut is almost dark. The embers under the ashes give a tiny glow, just enough to see fuzzy shapes. Beatrice stands, brushing her hands on her apron, and checks the fire one more time. She pokes the ashes with her stick, making sure the coals are covered. The air smells of smoke and straw, a cozy mix that feels like home. She takes a deep breath, feeling her body relax, and knows the fire will be ready for morning. Her job is done, and the night can take over. Leela and Ben climb onto their straw mattress, pulling their wool blanket over them. The mattress rustles, a soft crunch like dry grass as they wiggle to get comfy. Leela yawns again, her eyes closing, and Ben mumbles, night mama. Beatrice kneels beside them, tucking the blanket tight. Sleep good, she whispers, kissing their foreheads. Their faces are soft in the dim light, and she feels her heart swell with love. The fire's fading glow makes them look like little angels, ready to dream. Tom stands, his big frame filling the hut, and checks the door. He makes sure the latch is tight, keeping out the cold and any spooky things. Beatrice believes in old stories about curses and witches, and a latched door makes her feel safe. She sprinkled salt by the threshold earlier, a trick her grandma taught her to keep bad magic away. With the fire banked and the door secure, the hut feels like a fortress, warm and strong against the night. Beatrice climbs into her own straw bed, the mattress creaking under her. The straw is lumpy, stuffed with herbs that smell sweet like lavender and rosemary. She pulls the wool blanket up, feeling its scratchy warmth and sighs a cozy sound. Tom joins her, his body making the bed creak again. He snores softly, his arm flopping over her side, and she smiles in the dark. The hut is dark now, with just a faint glow from the embers, and it feels smaller, cozier, like a nest for her family. The fire's final flicker is like a whispered goodnight, and Beatrice feels it in her bones. Her body is tired from the day, cooking pottage, milking pudding, working in the garden. Her back aches a little, and her hands are gritty from dirt, but the bed soothes her, molding to her body. The dim light in the quiet hut make her eyelids droop like they're too heavy to stay open. She thinks about the day, how she worked hard and loved her family, and feels happy. The fire's signal day is done, lets her let go, ready for sleep. Putting huffs again, her hooves still, and Beatrice imagines the goat dreaming of eating her apron. Leela's breath is steady, like a soft wind, and Ben mumbles something about a chicken. Tom's snores hum, a low, familiar sound that makes Beatrice feel safe. The hut is full of these noises, mixing with the faint crackle of the embers and the wind rattling the straw roof outside. They're a lullaby, wrapping the family in a gentle hum that says, "Rest now." The air is cooler now with the fire banked, but the blankets in the crowded hut keep everyone warm. Beatrice feels Tom's warmth beside her, his arm heavy and cozy. The kids are toasty under their blanket, their breaths puffing in the dim light. Pudding's furry body by the door blocks drafts like a guard keeping the cold out. The hut is a warm bubble, even as the night gets chilly outside, and Beatrice loves the feeling, like they're all wrapped in a big hug. She thinks about tomorrow, how she'll wake when the rooster crows and light the fire again. She'll push the ashes off the coals, add new logs, and watch the flames come back. The thought is soft, not heavy, like a promise that the day will start fresh. She thinks about her chores, feeding the chickens, fetching water, making bread, and feels ready even though she's sleepy. The fire's final flicker has closed today, and tomorrow is waiting, but for now, sleep is all that matters. The dim hut makes Beatrice think of old stories, like the ones about angels in the stars or curses in the dark. She believes in those things, and sometimes they make her nervous, especially when the wind howls. But tonight, with the fire banked and her family close, she's not scared. The embers glow as like a tiny light against the dark, and Tom's snores are stronger than any witch. She said her prayer before bed, asking for safety, and the salt by the door is her extra shield. The hut is her safe place, cozy and warm, with the fire's final flicker as its goodnight kiss. The kids are asleep now, their yawns turn to steady breaths. Leela's face is peaceful, her hair messy on the straw. Ben is curled up, his hands tucked under his chin, dreaming of something silly. Beatrice watches them in the dim light, her heart full. The fire's fatting glow makes them look soft, like they're part of the hut's warmth. She feels proud, knowing she worked hard to make them happy and full, and now they're resting, safe and cozy. Tom's snores get a little louder, and Beatrice nudges him gently. He mumbles MMMB and rolls over, his arm still on her. She giggles quietly, loving his sleepy voice. The hut is dark, but the embers give enough light to see his beard glowing like the coals. She thinks about how he worked in the fields today, plowing with their horse Bess, and how he smiled at supper. Tom is her partner, her strength, and his closeness makes the hut feel even cozier. Pudding shifts by the door, her huff turning into a soft bleat like she's talking in her sleep. Beatrice imagines the goat dreaming of chasing a butterfly or eating a tasty stick. Pudding's noises are funny, like a little drumbeat in the night, and they make Beatrice smile. She loves that Pudding is part of their hut, even if she's naughty sometimes. The goat's warmth by the door feels like an extra layer of coziness, keeping the family safe. The fire pit is quiet now, the embers hidden under the ashes. Beatrice knows they're there, warm and waiting, ready to spark again in the morning. The thought makes her feel calm, like the fire is a friend who never leaves. The hut is darker, the shadows softer, and the air smells of smoke, straw, and the faint sweetness of the herbs in her mattress. She breathes it in, feeling her body sink deeper into the bed, the lumps not bothering her tonight. The night outside is alive with sounds, even with the fire banked. The wind rattles the straw roof, a gentle shake like someone whispering. An owl hoots far away, low and slow, like a lullaby from the forest. A dog barks once, then stops, its yap fatting into the dark. Beatrice hears these noises through the cracks in the walls, and they mix with the hut sounds, Tom's snores, the kids' breaths, Pudding's huffs. They're a song, soft and steady, wrapping the family in the village's rhythm. Beatrice thinks about her day again, how she cooked pottage, milked pudding, and pulled weeds. Her hands are sore, her back aches, but the fire's final flicker has closed those worries. The pottage filled her belly, the work filled her heart, and now the hut is filling her with peace. She thinks about Leela's giggle, Ben's muddy smile, Tom's warm arm, and Pudding's silly bleats. These thoughts are like embers, glowing in her mind, keeping her cozy as she drifts towards sleep. The hut feels smaller, cozier, like it's shrinking to fit just her family. The darkness is soft, not scary, and the embers glow as a tiny light that says, "You're safe." Beatrice believes in curses, but tonight they're